Chapter 297. When Lin Yueling was still the young lady of the Lin family, she knew that marriage was for benefits. But the problem was, which side did you favor? One side was your mother's family, and the other side was your husband's family. The dividing line was the offspring. Before having a child, she would definitely side with her mother's family. But once she had a child, she would definitely side with her husband's family. Lin Yueling was no exception. Of course, she would not embarrass her husband in Jiangxiu for the sake of her son. Moreover, she was well aware of how the Lin family had treated her and the pain she had suffered. After taking a nap at home, the family went to the Lin family by car. The Lin clan was located in the Yin Mountains courtyard complex. This was the place where all the top clans gathered. It was a large courtyard within a large courtyard. The surrounding scenery was pleasant, and the mountain was covered in a layer of white leaves. There's a Mercedes-Benz in front of us. Damn it. How dare they drive a luxury car in Mount Yen? Are they trying to show off in Mount Yen? The people living here were all important leaders. How could they lack money when they were in power? Fuck them. Behind Jiangxiu's car, a Volkswagen came. It was almost the best car here. Most of the cars were not good cars. The purpose was to match the solemn traditional atmosphere here. The road around the mountain was neatly built. Trees were planted on both sides of the road. Leaves fell when they entered the east. The driver stepped on the gas and rushed to the front of the Mercedes-Benz, sweeping up the leaves on the ground. The driver was shocked and almost lost control of the car. They were in the middle of the mountain, and the road was not wide. If they lost control, they would rush out. No one drove like this. Lin Yueling was also shocked. Cheng Lingsu asked with concern. Mom, are you okay? Lin Yueling shook her head. How did that person drive? Cheng Lingsu complained. The driver hurriedly apologized. I'm sorry, sir, Jiangxiu frowned. He glanced at the Volkswagen speeding by at full speed and said, Drive slowly. We are not in a hurry. This driver was carefully selected by Wang Xintong. He drove steadily, and it would be easy for her to sit in the car. She was looking for a driver, not a racer. Stability was the most important thing. But because he was old, his reaction speed was not as fast as a young person's. Yes, Mr. Jiang. As they slowed down, the overtaking Volkswagen slowed down as well. It seemed that they were deliberately going against Jiangxiu. They drove slowly and didn't let the cars behind them pass. The driver's forehead was covered with cold sweat. He didn't know what to do. He was obviously trying to stir up trouble. Jiangxiu said, Overtake them. The driver received the order. How could an old Volkswagen compare with a big Mercedes-Benz? He stepped on the accelerator and rushed over. When the car passed by, Jiangxiu rolled down the window and flicked his finger. A cloud of fog rushed out like an arrow and hit the tire. With a bang, the car almost flipped over. Fortunately, the driver reacted quickly and braked. Humph! If it weren't for his parents, Jiangxiu would have sent the car flying, and the people inside would have died without a burial place. The tires burst. A group of young people got out of the car. They were so angry that they put their hands on their hips and kicked the tires. They could only watch the big Mercedes-Benz fly away and curse. Damn it, do you think you won? The man took out his phone and made a call. There's a big Mercedes-Benz. Stop him for me. When they reached the gate of Mount Yen, Jiangxiu's car was stopped by the guards. Who are you looking for? Lin Yueling looked at the roof tiles inside. They were unrecognizable. In the past 20 years, the buildings here had been renovated and renovated. But the memories of her childhood still came to her mind. Let's go to the Lin family. The guards carefully looked at Jiangxiu's family in the car, as if they were criminals. Jiangxiu frowned. Come out for inspection. Lin Yueling said. I'm Lin Yueling. My family should have reported it. Check it. The guards were very polite but unquestionable. It doesn't matter who you are. It's the same for anyone. Please cooperate. Everyone get out of the car for inspection. It was easy to get out of the car for inspection. But the main thing was that it was humiliating. They were guarding against them like thieves. They were invited back by the Lin family. With Jiangxiu's current status, who would dare to do that? Lin Yueling's expression was a little ugly. Mom, it's okay. We'll just get out of the car for inspection. Chung Lingsu acted as a peacemaker again. Please show your ID. Jiang Xiu suppressed his anger. If it weren't for Lin Yueling, he wouldn't have endured this. He took out his ID and let the guards check it. He thought that it would be fine. The guard said, "Sorry, your car only has an ordinary license plate. You're not allowed to drive in." Lin Yueling said, "Why? What kind of rule is this?" The guard said, "Only cars with special license plates can go in. It's not safe for cars from outside. Our security must be done well. Please cooperate." This time, Chung Lingsu didn't dare to say anything because there were still a few miles inside. They couldn't drive. It would take at least half an hour or even longer to get in by foot. The sound of a car came from behind. It was the Volkswagen just now. It should have a new tire. When it reached the gate, it honked at Jiang Xiu and his family. It stuck its head out proudly and sneered. Jiang Xiu said, "Why are you checking them? Their cars aren't special either." The guard said, "Can you compare with them? They're from the Gao family." Jiang Xiu said, "Is this discrimination?" The guards glanced at Jiang Xiu and said, "This is my job. I have the right to check you. I also have the right to not let you drive in. Go in. If you don't want to go, let the people inside drive out to pick you up." People who drove luxury cars here were all here to flatter. The guards had seen many of them, so they didn't dare to call the people inside to pick them up. "Go in, a bunch of country bumpkins." The group of people stepped on the accelerator proudly and drove in. This time Jiang Xiu didn't hold back. With a flick of his hand, a strong gust of wind rushed over. The ground covered with fallen leaves revealed the smooth bluestone tiles. With a bang, the car directly flipped over due to the acceleration. There was a scream. Fortunately, the car hit the trunk of a flower bed and got stuck. Otherwise, it would be enough to flip over again. However, this was enough for them. "Quick, save them!" The captain of the guard shouted and rushed over with his men. They hurriedly rescued the people from the car. Fortunately, they were only lightly injured. "Young Master Gao, are you okay?" The young man driving was in his 20s. He was quite tall and had a bruise on his head. He looked at the car in disbelief. The car inexplicably flipped over. There were no stones on the ground, and the center of gravity was not off. How did it flip over? "Tell me, is this your doing?" The young man surnamed Gao was furious. First the tire blew, and now the car flipped over. How could there be such a coincidence in the world? You're my aunt?" There was a girl in the car. She was quite cute, about 15 or 16 years old. Lin Yueling looked at the girl. She didn't know her. "I'm Lin Xiaoka, Lin Zedong's daughter." Lin Yueling was stunned. Then she said with a sigh, "You're my little brother's daughter, Lin Xiaoka?" When she left home, her little brother was still in high school. Now he was married and had a daughter. What a coincidence. "Xiaoka, you know each other?" "I've never heard of you having an aunt like this." This young Master Gao was in his early 20s. When Lin Yueling left the Lin family, she wasn't even born yet. It was normal that he hadn't heard of the older generation. Lin Xiaoka found it hard to say. She couldn't say that her aunt was kicked out of the family. Gao rarely saw Lin Xiaoka like this. He guessed that she might be a distant relative who came here to pull some strings. There were many vassals of the rich families in the capital. Anyone who could make a connection would do anything to make a connection. It didn't matter if it was a direct descendant or a collateral descendant. Even if they had the surname, they could be considered relatives. He despised this person in his heart. This person was a descendant of the Gao family. At the end of the year, he saw a lot of people who came to pull strings. Driving a Mercedes-Benz, and yet you're acting like a rich person. Do you know what a rich person looks like? His meaning was obvious. Just like him, driving a Volkswagen in such a low-key manner. The boys and girls on the side also showed disdain. Lin Xiaoka looked at Jiang Xiu, who was beside Lin Yueling. Her eyes were full of curiosity. Jiang Xiu was Jiang Luoxia. The elders in the Jiang family all knew about this person. When the elders in the family talked about this person, their tone was serious. They were even more afraid than when they talked about the patriarchs of other big families. She heard that this cousin was very powerful. She guessed that it was most likely him who attacked just now. Chapter 298. Most importantly, Lin Shirqian's leg was broken by him. All the siblings hated him to the core. If it weren't for the elders in the family, they would have gone after him a long time ago. I don't care if you're Mr. Jiang or not. I don't care if the Lin family needs you right now. I won't allow you to touch the Lin family. Although Lin Xiaoke was young, she knew the mentality of the elders in the family, as well as the mentality of her brothers and sisters. She was smart. The Lin family expelled their daughter from the family. This was a huge scandal. If the Lin family didn't want to talk about it, outsiders wouldn't talk about it either. Not to mention it happened 20 years ago. The family was covered in dust. If it wasn't unearthed, no one would remember it. Lin Xiaoke shook her head. I'm not a relative. Hearing this, Lin Yueling's expression changed, and a trace of pain flashed in her eyes. Not to mention the elders of the Lin family. Even her juniors did not recognize her. She was her aunt, her biological aunt. Humph! Young Master Gao sneered with disdain. Which corner of the world did this distant relative come from? For little Ku's sake today, I won't bicker with you country bumpkins. But remember every word I said. This is Yin Mountain. Everyone here is influential. If you want a broken Mercedes-Benz like yours, you can have as many as you want. Not driving a luxury car is a sign of respect to the leader. Who dares drive a better car than the leader? Did you hear it clearly? Remember it clearly? He wasn't even in his 20s. Jiang Yi was in his 40s, and Lin Yueling was being taught a lesson by him like a child. It was embarrassing. But the boys and girls around them didn't take it for granted. Those who were taught a lesson by them all nodded and bowed. It was an honor to be taught a lesson by the young master of the Gao family. But Jiang Xiu was indifferent. Kid, look at you. You're not convinced? Young Master Gao sneered. You're just here to get close to the Lin family. What, do you think the capital is like your countryside? Let me tell you, this is the capital. This is Mount Yan. Everyone here has a background. You can't mess with us. Someone on the side echoed. Country bumpkin. Jiang Xiu said. Are you done? Young Master Gao laughed. Looks like you're really not convinced. Looks like I'll have to treat your dissatisfaction today. Just as he was speaking, Jiang Xiu's figure suddenly blurred, and appeared in front of young Master Gao. Pa! A slap was delivered through the air. How frightening was Jiang Xiu's strength. He could easily destroy a rock. Time and space seemed to elongate. Under everyone's dumbfounded gazes, Jiang Xiu slapped him hard on the face. His handsome cheeks sunk in deeply, emitting a hair-raising bone-cracking sound. His entire face became deformed. Ah! The tall young man roared crazily in pain. Pa! The other side of young Master Tal's face was deformed and caved in. Spare my life, Pa! Blood splattered, covering his face in blood. In ancient times, there was a cruel punishment called opening one's mouth. After 10 or 20 slaps, one's face would be unrecognizable. But Jiang Xiu's strength was so great that even his bones were destroyed. His entire face twitched. At first he screamed, then groaned, but now there was no sound. His whole body slumped to the ground motionless. From the degree of distortion on his face, he should be dead. The face was the most fragile part of a person. The whole place was deathly silent. So silent that not a single sound could be heard. Only the silent falling leaves could be heard. The young men and women watched in disbelief as Jiang Xiu beat young Master Tal to death. Their eyes were filled with endless fear. He dared to kill in front of everyone. And on Mount Yin no less. Mad, is he mad? Do you know who you killed? One of young Master Tal's companions spoke. Young Master Tal, Gao Jinzhong, Gao clan's disciple. You're finished. Jiang Xiu's eyes swept over with a cold glint. That person jumped in fright. Thinking of Jiang Xiu's brutal killing methods, his entire body trembled and he didn't dare to say anything else. Lin Xiaoke was so shocked that her eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Her breathing became extremely difficult. She finally understood why Lin Mi advised them not to provoke Jiang Xiu. Ferocious, too ferocious. Even Jiang Yi and his wife, as well as Cheng Lingsu, were shocked. A cold voice sounded. The murderer, Jiang Luoxia. Hearing this, a girl got out of the car and looked at Jiang Xiu. Her eyes were full of shock. Jiang Luoxia, the strongest person in China. What? This time, everyone was shocked. The guards looked at Jiang Xiu in shock. Get in, Jiang Xiu said softly. He opened the car door and got in. His family also got in and rolled down the window. He didn't even look at the guard. How dare you block my car? The guard trembled. Even young Master Tall was killed so easily. He didn't dare to say anything. He shook his head and shook his head. The car sped away and disappeared into the mountains. Xiaoke, is he really Jiang Luoxia? Lin Xiaoke nodded like a chicken eating rice. She still hadn't recovered from the shock. Young Master Tall was killed. Should we call the police or the Gao clan? Let's call the Gao clan. We'll see what they decide. If it was an ordinary person, they would have arrested him and handed him over to the Justice Department. Then again, most people didn't dare to kill people, let alone on Mount Yan. However, the murderer was Jiang Luoxia, the man who killed Ji Wudao, the Jiangnan hero who killed Jiang Luoxia. He was a superhero who killed people like eating rice. The people present were still looking in the direction the car disappeared. They didn't know what to do. He was killed just because of words. This deterrence was even stronger than a leader. It was terrifying. The strong couldn't be humiliated. Will the Gao clan take revenge? That will depend on the Gao clan. The young man and woman's eyes fell on Lin Xiaoke. Xiaoke, what's the relationship between your clan and Jiang Luoxia? Lin Xiaoke was born in a rich family, so she was influenced by what she saw and heard since she was young. She knew how powerful this was. Before the family officially accepted Lin Yueling, she didn't dare to talk nonsense outside. Moreover, something like this happened today. Although the Gao clan wasn't as powerful as the Lin clan, it was still a big clan in the capital. There were people in the military who had careers. It was a big trouble for the Lin clan. It's nothing. Haha. At this time, the entire Lin clan was gathered together. It was almost the new year, so they had to give New Year's greetings and wine. It was supposed to be a few brothers taking turns, but the old man couldn't go out. Everyone gathered together for a few days, exchanging information and resources, and listening to the old man's teachings. Lin Xiaoke's phone call changed everything. What? Lin Xiang cried out. This is outrageous. She hasn't even returned to the Lin clan yet. Who knows what kind of trouble she'll cause for the Lin clan? Everyone present looked at Lin Xiang in confusion. What's wrong? What happened? Everyone couldn't help but ask when they saw the change in his expression after he hung up. Dad, something big happened. Lin Xiang adjusted his thoughts. Yueling's family is coming this way. The old man's face froze when he heard this. Oh, they're coming? Let them come. Look at how nervous you are. That's right. Lin Xiang felt like his chest was being pressed by a huge rock. He said with difficulty. But they had a conflict with Gao Jinzhong's grandson on the way here. They actually killed him on the spot. Whoosh, there was an uproar. The Lin clan wasn't an ordinary clan. They had a martial arts background, but they were still shocked when they heard this. Killed him directly? At the entrance of Mount Yan? Lin Xiang nodded. With a loud bang, old Master Lin slammed his palm on the table. How dare you? You're out of control. He was so angry that his whole body was trembling. He originally wanted to borrow Jiang Luoxia's power, but before he could do so, he had already caused so much trouble for the Lin clan. How could the grandson of the Gao clan be killed so casually? This sudden turn of events disrupted the series of plans that he had originally arranged. Since they're already here, should we go and pick them up? Uncle Xian on the side said. Lin Yueling hadn't come back for 20 years. Moreover, her son was now a big shot, so they couldn't neglect him too much. In fact, they had already neglected him. If they had arranged for someone to pick him up earlier, perhaps this wouldn't have happened. Chapter 299. The Lin family's neglect was intentional. From their point of view, being too enthusiastic would make people feel like they were trying to curry favor with them. Of course, the Lin family wouldn't curry favor with you. It could only be because you wanted to return to the Lin family and contribute to the prosperity of the family. Send someone to pick her up? Uncle Xian said. Yes. Since she's already at Yin Mountain and caused trouble, if we don't go and pick her up, it'll be unreasonable. It'll be deliberate. How could the Lin family's old master not know? It was just that he didn't want to. She had once rebelled against him for so-called love, and was kicked out of the family. It was already a great blessing to have her back. She still wanted to be nice? Dream on. Then let's pick her up. No matter how unwilling he was, what was his unhappiness in front of benefits? They're here. The sound of a car came from outside and a group of people walked out. A large Mercedes-Benz drove in, and 4 people got out. It was Jiang Xiu's family. Lin Yueling got out of the car and was a bit nervous, while Jiang Yi was uncomfortable. It hasn't changed, it hasn't changed. What entered their eyes was a group of old houses. It had the feel of a small Western-style house from the Republic of China period. There was a courtyard and garden in front, full of flowers and plants. Little sister. A man with the air of a high-ranking official came out, leading a group of people behind him. This person wasn't the eldest of the Lin family, but the second. He was the most promising of the second generation of the Lin family, and had become a leading figure. Lin Zicheng. You're here. Lin Zicheng's face showed a trace of a smile. Second brother. Lin Yueling's eyes were slightly red. Calling him second brother was heartbreaking and difficult. There was no sunlight today, but the scenes of playing and bathing in the sun as a child were like yesterday. Come in, let's talk inside. Lin Zicheng's eyes swept over Jiang Yi, and a trace of resentment flashed in his eyes. Then he turned to Jiang Xiu. He didn't look like Jiang Yi or Lin Yueling. He looked ordinary, but when he thought of how he dared to kill the Gao family's disciples in public, he couldn't help but feel a little afraid. After entering the house, Lin Yueling couldn't help but stare at the inside. She saw an elderly couple sitting at the top of the hall. They were over 80 years old, but their faces were dignified. They were Lin Yueling's parents. Father Lin was someone who had survived the war. Because of the war, he got married later. Dad, Mom Yueling is back. Lin Yueling had tears in her eyes. It's good that you're back. Old Master Lin nodded, but his eyes were very calm. Logically speaking, Lin Yueling wanted to introduce Jiang Yi and Jiang Xiu. According to the traditional rules, Jiang Yi and Jiang Xiu had to kowtow, especially since Jiang Xiu was the 3rd generation. But Jiang Xiu wouldn't kneel to them. It was good enough that he didn't beat them. Old Master Lin straightened his body. The old lady beside him said with a cold face, "You haven't been home for 20 years. Now that you're finally back, you're bringing 2 people with the surname Jiang. Have you forgotten how your eldest brother died?" Everyone in the family stopped talking. She was Lin Yueling's biological mother. Jiang Xiu had a deep impression of this old lady. She was an extremely mean person. When he came to report the death, the one he hoped to get the most emotional response from was this old lady. But she sent Jiang Xiu into a bottomless abyss. When she heard the news, the first thing she said was that it was good that he died. She gritted her teeth as if she had taken revenge. Lin Yueling was her biological daughter. No matter what hatred she had with Jiang Xiu, what did the death of the Lin family's disciples have to do with Jiang Yi and Lin Yueling? That person was her son, but Lin Yueling wasn't her daughter. Was it because she valued boys over girls? A son was a treasure, but a daughter was as cheap as grass? Lin Yueling knew that it was useless to call Jiang Yi. He was the son of the Jiang family. She was afraid that he was the son who had been chased out. But Jiang Xiu was different. Half of his blood was from the Lin family. As a son, he was considered a respectable and sensible son. She said, "Minor repairs." "Su, this is grandfather, grandmother." She didn't want her son and daughter-in-law to kowtow, but it was good enough to call them that. Chengling Su looked at Jiang Xiu. Su was extremely smart. In front of such a big matter, she didn't dare to make a rash statement. She had to see Jiang Xiu's attitude. Otherwise, she would be tortured to death by this big devil. She said that she would support her mother-in-law, but she immediately chickened out. Jiang Xiu said, "Jiang Xiu greets old Master Lin." Wow. He didn't acknowledge them. This caused a bit of an uproar. Everyone in the Lin family's expression changed. Their tone was like that of an elder meeting a neighbor. They didn't even look at old Madame Lin. This time they really poked a hornet's nest. Old Master Lin's face was ashen, and old Madame Lin, who was ignored, was so angry that her whole body trembled. This caused many of the elders of the Lin family present to be dissatisfied. If it weren't for his blood relationship with Lin Yueling, Jiang Xiu wouldn't even care about the Lin family. With the attitude of a god, mortals were just ants. Minor repairs? What did you say? Yu Ziqing's face was full of anger. He was the leader of the second generation, Lin Yueling's eldest brother, and Jiang Xiu's second uncle. These two are your grandfather and grandmother? Jiang Xiu said. They are. 20 years. Didn't they break off their relationship? More than 10 years ago, when my father was wrongly imprisoned, where were they? Since things have already been done, why bring it up today? This was a direct confrontation. Jiang Xiu's attitude was very firm. For the sake of his mother, if the Lin family sincerely apologized, Jiang Xiu would let this matter pass. Otherwise, he would never acknowledge the Lin family. Lin Ziqing looked at his arrogant and despotic face and really wanted to slap him, but when he thought of Jiang Xiu's cruel methods, he held back. But seeing that the situation was about to turn sour, Yu Ziqing's gaze fell on Lin Yueling. Little sister, is this how you teach your son? Ha ha ha. Jiang Xiu laughed coldly. You dare to act like an elder in front of me? I think you're tired of living. Boom. Everyone in the Lin family was scared out of their wits. The disciples of the Gao family learned a lesson from the mistakes of their predecessors. Lin Ziqing's face turned pale. This was a master who would kill if he made a move. Although he didn't think that Jiang Xiu would really dare to kill him, he was really scared. Seeing this, Uncle Xian hurriedly said, Mr. Jiang, please don't be angry. Since Jiang Xiu didn't even give face to old Master Lin and Lin Ziqing, he didn't dare to call him minor repairs anymore. Ziqing definitely didn't mean that. Old Master Lin said, let's all talk less. Since everyone is here, let's start the banquet. Call everyone over, and have a good reunion dinner. Yes, let's eat. Old Madam Lin stood up and said, you can eat this meal, but I can't. She glared fiercely at Jiang Yi and Jiang Xiu, then walked inside with her walking stick. Old woman. Old Master Lin called out twice, but old Madam Lin ignored him. Lin Yueling's face darkened. She wanted to open her mouth, but there was nothing to say. Forget it, let's eat. Old Master Lin arranged for Lin Yueling's family to sit in the high seats. The matter of Jiangnan had to be discussed today. The matter of the border was imminent, and it would be decided after the new year. Many of the younger generation of the Lin family still didn't know that Jiang Xiu was Jiang Luoxia. Lin Xiaoke only knew because Lin Mi told her. This girl was a bit rebellious and didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. She was afraid that she would provoke Jiang Xiu, so she took precautions. First he hit Shiqian, and now he dares to be so arrogant. Just wait, he'll suffer sooner or later. Where did this brat come from? He's so arrogant. Lin Mi was also at the table. She looked at the elders' table from time to time. She was very nervous. Beside her was Lin Shiqian. He still had protective gear on his feet and could barely walk. The doctor had told him to walk more. But it seems that the elders are quite afraid. They didn't know Jiang Xiu's background, but they understood from the look on his face. They sat down to eat. When it was time to talk about the Jiangnan border, Lin Ziqing regretted his attitude just now. He was embarrassed in front of everyone by Jiang Xiu. Now that he wanted to ask for help, he really couldn't say it. Originally, he used his status as an elder and directly gave this matter as an order. Who knew that Jiang Xiu wouldn't give him any face at all? In recent years, Jiangnan's economy has been developing very quickly. Uncle Xian never sat at the table, but today he took the initiative to sit down. His purpose was to mediate the conflict that might erupt. During this time, we've learned a lot about Jiangnan's situation. Mr. Zhang's influence in Jiangnan is far greater than we imagined. It can be said that he's like the sun in the sky. Lin Yueling said, Uncle Xian, you're too kind. Lin Yueling was most proud of her son's achievements. Although she was happy to hear people praise Jiang Xiu, she still had to be modest. Lin Ziqing said, little sister, second brother is now fighting for a position in the Jiangnan border. Your family needs to help. Chapter 300. From the fact that the Lin family did not come to pick up the Jiang family, to the arrogant attitude of entering the Lin family, And now to the casual request. Lin Yueling thought that the Jiang family's desire to return to the Lin family was above everything else. She thought that as long as the Lin family was willing to let them come back, Lin Yueling would do anything. Lin Yueling said with some difficulty, "Second brother, this matter still depends on Xiao Xiao." Lin Yueling's heart was actually a bit cold. The moment she entered the door, she thought that she would be able to find the kinship of the past, but the feeling of distance from her family had already been born. Especially her mother's attitude. She realized that to her mother, this daughter of hers, was already dispensable. Since that was the case, she had no reason to put her husband and son in a difficult position for a family that didn't care about her at all. Lin Ziqing's face was stiff. He was the leader of the second generation in the Lin family. He was used to scolding the younger generation. When he saw Jiang Xiao, he was used to scolding and putting on airs. He didn't understand what Mr. Jiang meant. "Jiang Xiao, what do you think of this?" Just then, the sound of a car came from outside. A man in his 30s quickly got out of the car and entered the house. The third generation of the Lin family saw him and shouted, "Brother!" This man was the eldest grandson of the late eldest son of the Lin family. His name was Lin Shichong, and he was in his 30s. When he saw Jiang Xiao and his family, his face was very unfriendly, especially Jiang Xiao. "Are you Jiang Xiao?" Jiang Xiao glanced at him indifferently. "Do you have any respect for the law? Do you have any respect for the country? You dared to kill a member of the Gao family at the foot of Mount Yan. You ran into the house and didn't even call the doctors. You made grandmother so angry that she didn't even want to eat the New Year's Eve dinner." A young man on the side said sarcastically, "Brother, be careful. He doesn't care about his family." Jiang Xiao's eyes were cold. "Who do you think you are? How dare you question me?" "You," Jiang Xiao said. "Get out." "You." That person was so angry that his entire body was trembling. If it weren't for the fact that this person was related to his mother, Jiang Xiao would have killed him. Lin Ziqing glared at him. It wasn't easy for him to open his mouth, but this little rascal had taken advantage of it. "Why aren't you leaving? It's not your turn to speak here. Your grandfather and second uncle are still sitting here." Lin Mi went over and pulled him out. She knew that if he angered Jiang Xiao, he would really kill him. The Lin family or blood ties couldn't restrain him. He went out to another table and slammed the table angrily. "What the hell is this? I thought he was someone important. He's just a brainless brute who doesn't respect his elders. What can he do?" "Exactly." Shiqian on the side, Lin Ziqing. Lin Mi glared at him and said, "Don't gossip here. You still haven't learned your lesson and want to be beaten again? What did Shiqian do wrong? Why are you scolding him?" "I don't know how Lin Yueling taught him." Lin Yueling was his elder. He called her by her name and didn't treat Lin Yueling as part of his family. It was as if he was talking about an outsider. Lin Mi didn't care about him. These people always acted as if they were elders, lecturing people with reason. They always thought that they were right and they were wrong, forcing their own thoughts into people's heads. She had had enough. No matter what Lin Shichong said, she didn't respond. She had seen Jiang Xiao's power with her own eyes. What law? Was it legal for Smith Barney to intervene in West Asia and start a war? Was it legal? What could others do about it? Nothing could be done. This was the reality. Strength was the law, and the law was the law. In fact, rich people like them didn't believe in such things. It was a bit childish to say such things. "I don't know what grandfather and second uncle are thinking. Even if such a person has some value, the family can't use him. Grandmother will be the first to disagree." At the elders' table, Lin Ziqing cut to the chase. "Jiang Xiao, what do you think of this matter? I heard that you have a lot of influence in Jiangnan." Jiang Xiao didn't respond. Uncle Xian smiled and said, "Mr. Jiang has more than just a lot of influence in Jiangnan. If you go to Jiangnan, the Jiangnan people will say that half of Jiangnan is under Mr. Zhang's rule. If you move, there will be a big earthquake in Jiangnan." Hearing this, Lin Ziqing was full of disdain. He didn't believe such words. He was just an underground martial artist. His martial arts cultivation was a bit high, but in the end, he couldn't be seen in public. Gushu was just giving him face. If it was another leader who didn't fall for his tricks, They would have to behave themselves. Jiang Xiu said. I didn't come here today to talk about this matter. Old Master Lin's expression didn't change. Uncle Xian said, Mr. Jiang, if you have something to say it as soon as possible. Jiang Xiu said, the Lin family owes my mother an explanation. 20 years ago, 13 years ago. If the Lin family doesn't give this explanation, there's no need to talk about anything else. If the Lin family didn't make up for the harm they caused to Lin Yueling, it would be like taking advantage of Jiang Xiu. Wishful thinking. Old Master Lin's expression changed, and Lin Ziqing didn't say anything. This was asking the Lin family to apologize to Lin Yueling. Where would their dignity go? On the side, Cheng Lingsu lowered her head and ate. She looked very obedient and sensible. She even helped Lin Yueling get food and soup. In her heart she muttered, sure enough, this devil won't let anyone take advantage of her. Uncle Xian didn't dare to say anything. No matter how old he was and how much old Master Lin valued him, this kind of thing wasn't up to him to say anything. Only the two elders of the Lin family could make the decision. But today, old Master Lin's attitude was still the same. Let's eat first. It's the new year, and it's rare for us to get together. Let's not talk about work. Old Master Lin said. Jiang Yueling, it's rare for your family to come back. Eat more. He didn't answer directly, and Jiang Xiu didn't even bother to say goodbye to him. He wasn't in a hurry at all. It would be best if the Lin family shrank back and saved him the trouble. Jiang Yi, I heard that you like wine. It's specially provided Maodai. Yueling, have a few glasses too. Uncle Xian didn't drink, but he made an exception today. Mr. Jiang, drink some too? This meal was tasteless. When it ended, the Lin family invited Jiang Xiu to stay at their house. They even said that they specially cleaned Lin Yueling's original house and waited for their family to come and stay. However, Lin Yueling also refused. She said that old Master Lin and old Madam Lin missed her. They didn't miss her at all. They were all here for the sake of benefits. She was disappointed. We won't stay the night. Our house isn't far from here. We'll be there in less than an hour. After the Jiang family left, the Lin family was in an uproar. Old Madam Lin was the first to express her dissatisfaction. How did I give birth to such a rebellious daughter? It's true that a married daughter is like spilled water. She doesn't even know how to call her grandmother, uncle, or cousin. Who does he think he is? Old Madam Lin was so angry that her lips trembled. She couldn't eat anything at night. Only the relatives of the emperor would bow when they saw him. This was the way of the ruler and his subjects. But to put it bluntly, wasn't it reverence for the power of life and death in the hands of the emperor? Does our Lin family need to beg them like this? Uncle Xian said, yes. Mr. Zhang's reputation in the martial arts world in China is like the sun in the sky. People who don't pay attention to the martial arts world don't know that in the underworld overseas, Jiang Luoxia is known as the #1 person in China. No one in the underworld of Jiangnan dares to say no. In front of Gu Dezhi, he definitely has a lot of weight. After hearing Uncle Xian's words, everyone present was a little dumbfounded. Some didn't dare to believe it. That kid has so much power? Uncle Xian said. From what I understand of the situation, it is indeed so. Lin Mi thought to herself, he is more powerful than you think. These days she had been investigating Jiang Luoxia. She was even more serious than Uncle Xian. This was because she had investigated Jiang Xiu before and dug out a lot of information from that luxurious plane that made one's hair stand on end. So what? Do we have to lower our heads and apologize to Lin Yueling? That's ridiculous. Old Master Lin didn't say anything. Lin Zikong, Lin Ziqiu, and many other people of the second generation disagreed. Is our Lin family so spineless? To lower our heads to a kid who isn't even 20 years old, and whose surname is Jiang. Even if we lower our heads and admit our mistakes, Yueling will welcome us back like an ancestor. Do you think he will be able to help second brother take down Jiangnan? This sentence got to the point. Jiang Xiu was an underworld force in Jiangnan. No matter how strong the underworld force was, it was already the limit to affect a city. It was a joke to affect people on the Jiangnan frontier. Chapter 301. Lin Zikong found it hard to understand. Uncle Xian, you're also a martial arts expert. Is Jiang Xiu really that strong? Uncle Xian had been old Master Lin's guard in the beginning. Later on, he had recruited many martial arts experts for the Lin family, allowing the Lin family to shine on the battlefield. Uncle Xian had contributed greatly to the Lin family's success, so the younger generation respected him greatly. However, old Master Lin was rich and powerful. No matter how much the Lin family respected Uncle Xian, he was still a servant. It could be seen that the status of martial arts was low. It was difficult to stand out, especially in today's society. Therefore, no matter how famous Jiang Xiu was underground, he was still looked down upon by the Lin family. Uncle Xian said, I can't see Jiang Xiu's strength. Jiang Xiu was able to kill Ji Wudao and raise his prestige to the extermination sect. Even foreigners admire him. This strength can't be fake. It was widely rumored that Jiang Xiu was a god, but Uncle Xian didn't deny it. Even if the rumors were true, the current society was different. It was a peaceful era, and the economy was developing. Everyone looked at money. No matter how strong Jiang Xiu was, he could only exist underground. His influence was limited to martial arts. It was because of this that Uncle Xian didn't become a hero, and instead became a servant. Lin Mi's mouth twitched. She wanted to say that she had personally seen Jiang Xiu kill the Ji clan and the little sword master, but in the end, she didn't say it. She didn't want to draw hatred. Uncle Xian said, right now it's widely rumored that the world is about to change. There might be turmoil, and martial arts might have greater value. This should make Jiang Xiu's value 100 times higher. Old Master Lin had also heard a lot of similar news. The country had even allocated funds comparable to the military into genetic evolution research. Gene corporations were burying themselves underground like bamboo shoots after the rain, carrying out a new round of beach landings. This made old Master Lin have no choice but to rethink his thinking. Ah Xian, do you think the rumors will come true? Old Master Lin could read a lot of top-secret information, such as the descent of the American god, the appearance of the two-winged man, and many more. However, he still didn't believe it. Who could be sure about this kind of forward-looking thing? Those who could really smell the direction of the new era were all amazing people. They would definitely become the top figures of the new era. From our genetic research, it seems that a great change has occurred. Lin Shichong interrupted. The appearance of the internet has already changed the world once. So what if it changes again? Now that communication is so advanced, the possibility of war is very low. The main thing is resources and the economy. Lin Ziqing agreed. What Shichong said makes sense. No matter what, our country is so powerful that we can control everything. Why should we worry about the country? As long as I can become the Jiangnan frontier, our Lin family will be invincible. Everyone present was deeply convinced. This is called standing on the shoulders of giants. No matter how much the outside world changed, it was impossible for it to escape the control of the country. Standing on the shoulders of the country was foolproof. Then let's wait and see. Jiang Xiu let Yueling do the talking. He still wants our Lin family to bow down to him. His hair is not even fully grown yet. Lin Zikong said. Oh right. The marriage between the Zhou family and Jiang Xiu. Uncle Xian remembered this move. Originally, he wanted to keep the Jiang family and arrange a meeting tomorrow. Now it was ruined. We'll talk about it later. The family ate and drank until late at night. When the banquet ended, it was almost midnight. Lin Mi went to find old Master Lin alone. Girl, you're playing like this. What's the matter? Old Master Lin asked someone to wait on him as he prepared to go to bed. Lin Mi said, Grandfather, I think we should apologize to Aunt's family. Let's not talk about who was right and who was wrong back then. Jiang Xiu is too strong. I saw him kill the Ji family with my own eyes. His methods are godly. Old Master Lin had come from the battlefield and was used to seeing life and death. Moreover, he had experienced the hellish dark ages. During that time, one wrong word could lead to death. When he heard about killing, his heart did not fluctuate much. Hence his expression was indifferent. Underground matters can't be brought to the surface. Lin Mi said, Grandfather, I don't think it's that simple. Jiang Xiu can no longer be described as human. He can. Enough. Old Master Lin interrupted Lin Mi. Because of his hatred for the Jiang family, he hated Jiang Yi and his son. He didn't want to hear this. What does a girl like you know? Go back and sleep. Lin Mi's intuition told her that the Lin family couldn't let Jiang Xiu go. Jiang Xiu's godly methods left a deep impression on her. In front of his heavenly might, Lin Mi felt that all mortal power was just child's play. The way Jiang Xiu looked at them was like how they looked at kindergartners fighting over their toys. Gritting his teeth, he said, "Then I won't talk about that. Let's talk about Aunt. She has feelings for the family. Back then, she was blinded by her feelings when she was young. Now that Jiang Xiu can be considered valuable, this is an opportunity. We have to seize it." Enough, enough. Old Master Lin was a bit impatient. Lin Mi's words reminded him of 20 years ago when Lin Yueling broke off relations with the family because of her so-called love. Lin Mi was also a bit anxious. "Grandfather, if we miss out on Jiang Xiu, our Lin family will regret it." "Little Mi, what nonsense are you saying?" At this time, old Madam Lin also came back. "Our Lin family will regret it. What a joke." Seeing her grandmother's angry expression, Lin Mi didn't dare to say anything. She felt that something was wrong and lowered her head. Old Madam Lin said, "No matter how much our Lin family has declined, we are still a wealthy family in the capital. What does Jiang Xiu have? He's just a martial artist. His only connection is your granduncle Xian. Your granduncle Xian can still gain the respect of our entire family. At most, he can only be a wealthy family." Lin Mi raised her head and said, "No, grandmother. Jiang Xiu's strength is not something we can imagine. If we miss out on him, our Lin family will really regret it." "All right, you're becoming more and more unruly. Since when is it your turn to speak about family matters? Go away." Lin Mi left the room helplessly. When she first met Jiang Xiu in the East Continent, she wanted to recruit him. When she was rejected by Jiang Xiu, she had a feeling that she would regret it if she missed out on him. In the end, this feeling proved to be true. Her intuition had always been very accurate since she was a little girl, and she felt that this time would be no exception. When Jiang Xiu returned home, he received a message from Nangong Ko. "You haven't returned to the capital." "Jiang Xiu, I just came back today." "Nangong Ko, let's meet." Jiang Xiu had been back in Jiang City for a few days. Adding the days before he left, he had indeed been away for quite some time. The two of them were having an affair, and Nangong Ko actually took the initiative to invite him out. "Jiang Xiu, you can come out?" "Nangong Ko, I'm outside at my relative's house." Jiang Xiu laughed. Even he didn't expect that he would have such a relationship with Nangong Ko. Soon, the car arrived, and Jiang Xiu got into the car on the side of the road. In the car, Nangong Ko was still fully dressed. Jiang Xiu was really worried about Miss Ko's intelligence. Her car had a license plate, so people couldn't recognize it. "It's so cold, but Miss Ko is very interested in it." "Bah." Nangong Ko spat. "What are you thinking about? I have something to ask you. It's said that you are going to be engaged to Zuoyu Chen. Is it true?" The upper-class circle in the capital was not very big, and this kind of gossip spread much faster than serious news. Jiang Xiu said, "So you really have something to ask me. I'm so sorry, I shouldn't have thought that the pure and innocent Miss Nangong Ko was that kind of girl." Nangong Ko glared at him. "You're so dirty." However, the corners of her mouth revealed a smile that caused one's imagination to run wild, and there was a hint of seductiveness in her eyes. Their affair was like a fire. After a long time, Nangong Ko pulled down the sunglasses in the car, tidied her hair, and asked, "You haven't told me yet. Is it true? You and Zuoyu Chen?" "No." Jiang Xiu understood what was going on. This matter was most likely related to the Lin family. Jiang Xiu thought of the girl who had been engaged to him by the Lin family. In his last life, Zuoyu Chen had left a very good impression on Jiang Xiu. She was one of the few people who had attended Lin Yueling's funeral. Jiang Xiu was very grateful to her at that time, and she had even helped Jiang Xiu a lot. "Zuoyu Chen is very good. You can consider her." Nangong Ko said earnestly, and her eyes were filled with sincerity. Jiang Xiu was a bit sad upon hearing this. He couldn't believe that this girl wasn't interested in him at all, and she was only hanging out with him to satisfy her sexual needs. If you really want her, you may have to face a strong competitor. Suddenly, someone knocked on the car window. Nangong Ko was scared out of her wits. My God! Chapter 302. Even Jiang Xiu, who was always bold, was shocked. Did they just get caught in bed? Then he realized how serious this matter was. If this matter was exposed, Nangong Ko's reputation would be ruined. Nangong Ko's charming face, which was still red a moment ago, was now pale. She covered her mouth with her hands, and her eyes were full of fear. Of course, he didn't care about Cheng Lingsu, but if Cheng Lingran knew about it, she would have a bad impression of him. What should we do? Miss Ko asked in a low voice. Jiang Xiu gestured for Nangong Ko, to be quiet, but it was impossible for them to pretend that there was no one in the car. The sunglasses would turn on automatically, and people outside could see clearly. Knock, knock, knock. There was another rapid knock on the window, and a shadow approached the car window to look inside. Miss Ko hurriedly covered her face with her clothes and turned off the sunglasses. Ha ha ha. A burst of laughter came from outside. Hearing this laughter, Jiang Xiu and Nangong Ko were relieved. They weren't caught in bed, but someone passing by saw the car vibrating, so he deliberately scared them. Jiang Xiu's face turned pale, and Miss Ko was even more angry. Bastard, go back and see your mother. She looked like a little chili pepper, and Miss Ko must have been really scared just now. Ha ha ha. The laughter gradually faded away. Nangong Ko was so angry that she pinched Jiang Xiu's ribs hard. Are you still a man? How dare you bully me like this? Beat him up, Jiang Xiu said. Okay F***ck, you're courting death. Haha. Nangong Ko's mouth curved into a charming smile. You really want to go? Can you beat them? If you lose, don't cry to me. Jiang Xiu said. Let's see if I can beat them or not. Ko pressed Jiang Xiu's chest and didn't let him get up. Okay. She suddenly screamed, and the car shook again. On the dark side of the road, a sweet voice came from the car. Be gentle. I'm a boar. Bullsh *T. The cotton-like snowflakes drifted down from the sky of the imperial capital, landing on the leaves on both sides, the cars and the ground. The world became dreamy, as if covered with a faint luster. The night was getting darker and darker, and the lights in the distance were waning. They were enjoying the happiness of a family reunion in the warm house. After a long time. How did you find time to come here tonight? Today, I went to my grandfather's house to have a gathering with my siblings. Later, I heard about you, so I came over to ask you. It seemed that Nangong Ko's grandfather's family background wasn't as good as the Nangong family's. His surname seemed to be Jin, and he had his roots in Jinling or somewhere else. Jiang Xiu couldn't remember the details. Are you still coming out tomorrow? Nangong Ko glanced at him flirtatiously. Do you think I'm so free to come out and play with you on New Year's Eve? I'll be very busy in the next few days, and I'll have to go out to pay New Year's greetings and social engagements. Next year, my family will focus on genetic creatures. Jiang Xiu suddenly remembered that his hair had been taken away last time. By the way, how's my test result? You're healthy and experienced, Jiang Xiu said meaningfully. Don't you know? Pervert. Nangong Ko said flirtatiously. Get out of here, I have to go back now. If I'm late. Oh my God, it's almost 3 o'clock. Hurry up, or I won't be able to explain it to my parents. Then, the rustling sound came from the car. Soon, Jiang Xiu, who was neatly dressed, got out of the car. The cold wind blew in his face. Nangong Ko rolled down the window and smiled at Jiang Xiu. Happy New Year, Jiang Xiu said. Well, you too. Then when he was about to walk back, Nangong Ko said, Hey, if I'm free in the next few days, I'll find you. Okay. Then he drove away. They weren't even 20 yet. Jiang Xiu remembered that when he met Nangong Ko, in his previous life, she was almost 24 or 25 years old, and she was still single. Who knew what the world would be like in 4 or 5 years? When he got home, He saw Lin Yueling sitting in the living room with the TV on. "Hey, why did you come back from outside?" Jiang Xiu said. "I went out for supper." Oh. When he saw his mother, he remembered what Nan Gongko had told him. The Lin family seemed to want to cancel the marriage agreement with the Zhuo family. He had a good impression of Zhuo Yuchen, so he didn't want to make things difficult for her. Besides, the Lin family couldn't make the decision for him. However, this made it more difficult for Lin Yueling to return to the Lin family. "Can't sleep?" Lin Yueling nodded and asked. "Is it snowing outside?" She looked at the white snowflakes on Jiang Xiu's clothes. "Yes." Jiang Xiu took off his coat and sat beside Lin Yueling. "Mom, the Lin family doesn't deserve such an excellent daughter like you. They don't know how to cherish you. You still have me and Dad." Lin Yueling squeezed out a smile. "Mom knows you're a good boy," Jiang Xiu said. "They'll admit their mistakes." A family could drive its daughter out of the family for its own interests, and of course it would invite its daughter back to the family for its own interests. Jiang Xiu had 10,000 ways to deal with the greedy man. Tomorrow the Lin family would start to waver. Lin Yueling shook her head. She didn't seem to be optimistic about this. She also wanted to go back with her head held high, but she knew the nature of her family. "Actually, Mom has already married into the Jiang family. Even if I go back, it'll just be in name. I'll go back every New Year and other festivals. My feelings have already been broken, but my heart is empty. If you want Mom to be happy, then hurry up and give birth to a child for me. It's best if you give birth to a few children." Jiang Xiu's forehead was sweating. He thought to himself, "Who will give birth to a child for me?" "Did you hear me?" Jiang Xiu saw that the situation was not right and wanted to escape. This old lady was really old, thinking of one thing after another. Lin Yueling frowned and said, "Why is your body so fragrant?" "What?" Jiang Xiu's face changed. The hair on his back stood up. It was the fragrance of Nan Gongko. That girl had a natural body fragrance. "I don't." Lin Yueling came closer and sniffed. She looked just like the police dog in the Shi manor. Her eyes were full of curiosity. Her expression changed. "Where did you go?" "I went to eat supper." Jiang Xiu pulled up his clothes and sniffed. It was really Nan Gongko's fragrance. He said shamelessly, "It's Susu's." Lin Yueling stared at him and said, "I don't know about my daughters." Empress Dowager, spiritual cultivation almost kneeled down. "You must be a dog. There's no fragrance." "Oh, by the way, Mom, I heard that the Lin family arranged a marriage for me." Jiang Xiu used the great teleportation technique. Lin Yueling fell for his trick. Her face became serious. "There is indeed such a thing. It's a girl from the Zhuo family. She's a few years older than you. How did you know about this?" Jiang Xiu shook his head gently and said, "It's spread all over the upper-class circle in the capital." Lin Yueling's face became more serious. It was hard enough to go back to the Lin family, but now there was another thing. She was very satisfied with Su as her daughter-in-law. "Mom, I'm going to sleep. Don't stay up too late." After saying this, Jiang Xiu went upstairs. He looked like a gentleman. But the first thing he did when he went back to his room was to take a shower. On the second day of the new year, Jiang Xiu and his family were going to receive guests. Although they didn't have a good time with the Lin family yesterday, Lin Yueling still had to do enough homework to receive the guests of the Lin family. Of course, there were also some guests of the Jiang family who were going to pay New Year's greetings. One of them was Gu Deji. Early in the morning, Lin Yueling got up to prepare. Cheng Lingsu didn't dare to slack off, and became her mother-in-law's good helper. However, they didn't know how many guests would come. They could only play a lot. Jiang Xiu was forced to move things in the market. At this time, Jiang Xiu deeply understood the importance of servants. As the headmaster of the Tianqing school, he always had disciples and servants to wait on him. It was really embarrassing. He immediately called Wang Xintong. Wang Xintong was still in Jiangnan. She quickly arranged for a few people to help. Only then was Jiang Xiu free. After the snow, the weather in the capital warmed up. It was a sunny day and very comfortable. The banquet was held by the pond in the backyard. Wedding invitations and lanterns could be seen everywhere. It was a New Year's atmosphere. Jiang Yi smoked and said, "The Lin family might not come. I'm afraid your mother's efforts will be in vain." Chapter 303. After 10 o'clock in the morning, Lin Yueling couldn't sit still. Under normal circumstances, the guests should have already come. After hesitating for a while, he called the Lin family. In reality, the Lin family had no intention of coming at all. In the courtyard of the Lin family, dozens of people were laughing and chatting happily. A madam in a cheongsam walked over with a phone in her hand. Yueling called and asked when we are going over. Lin Zedong teased. Her son is so powerful. Why are we still going over? The people present were very disdainful. Do you want us to go and apologize to her? These words poked at old Master Lin's heart. He revealed an angry expression and waved his hand. Refuse, refuse. On the side, Uncle Xian said, Old Master, the Jiang family is receiving guests today. The people who rely on the Jiang family will definitely come. Doesn't he think he is powerful? We want to see how powerful he is. Today we can see at a glance. It will save us the trouble of investigating and guessing. Lin Ziqing agreed and said, Uncle Xian's words make sense. Father, why don't we go and take a look? Old Master Lin muttered to himself. Lin Zikong said, that kid from the Jiang family has a rebellious face and a cruel personality. He also hates us for chasing Yueling out and not helping his family. He might even take revenge on our Lin family. We have to be wary of him. It's good to know his background. Besides, the Gao family's son was directly killed and still didn't dare to make a sound. It can be seen that that kid is really not to be trifled with. Old Master Lin muttered to himself for a while and slowly stood up. Then let's go and take a look. Since the old master had spoken, no one present dared to disobey. No matter how unwilling they were, and no matter how unhappy they were with Jiang Xiu, they had to pack up and prepare to go out. There were many people at home, so they had to drive several cars. Yueling, it's about time for us to go out. The woman in cheongsam replied. After Lin Yueling hung up the phone, guests came to the house. They were guests from Jiangnan. Jiang Yi didn't plan to welcome them in the capital. His house was too luxurious. He planned to go back to Jiang City to welcome his colleagues. The guests here were mainly from Jiangxiu and the Lin family. The Lin family hadn't arrived yet, so only Jiangxiu's guests were here. Many people in Jiangnan flocked to Mr. Jiang like a flock of ducks. Anyone who knew that Jiangxiu was in the capital and lived here, regardless of whether they were qualified or not, would take advantage of the Spring Festival to make some connections. The person who came was Boss Zhong from Jiangnan. He was kicked out by Jiangxiu and Wang Garden that day. Today he came to pay a New Year's visit. However, since Jiangxiu didn't show up, he didn't dare to stay any longer. He put down the gift and left. Today he was no longer qualified to see Jiangxiu. After that, some people came, including people from Ninghai, Hangzhou, and the 4 major families in North China also came. They were not qualified to enter, so they put down the gift and left. Jiangxiu escaped to the capital. If this was the Jiang Garden in Jiangnan, the door would have been trampled to pieces. When it was almost 11 o'clock, the people from the Lin family finally arrived. There were a total of 7 cars. The scene was quite scary. They got out of the cars one by one, and their eyes were attracted by the villa. The reason why the Lin family declined was related to the fact that they didn't have huge financial resources, or the support of financial groups. Now they only looked at their GDP. Seeing this house, the people from the Lin family were unhappy. None of the children in the Lin family lived in such a good house. The daughter who was kicked out lived better than the children. This feeling was really uncomfortable. Lin Yueling had already come out to greet them with a smile. She saw the old master, but didn't see the old lady. Old Madam Lin was very stubborn. Dad's second brother, quick, please come in. When they entered the villa, other than the busy servants, there was not a single guest. This was strange. Why were there no guests on a day when they were receiving guests? Lin Zedong said. He bragged about how amazing he was, but in the end, there wasn't even a ghost. This was really a great irony. Looking at the empty banquet tables, the Lin family was amused. Mr. Jiang in Jiangnan had bragged so much, but in the end he was exposed. The Lin family's faces were full of ridicule. Why is there no one? Lin Yueling said casually. Oh, minor repairs knew that you were coming, so they didn't let the guests in. Today, the main purpose is to celebrate the new year with our family. The people from the Lin family laughed, but they didn't expose her. This was like swallowing a broken tooth. The new year was very stressful for many families. Which leader's house they went to first, the priority would explain a lot of problems. If no one came, it would be very embarrassing. Sister-in-law. Lin Yueling held the hand of the woman in the cheongsam affectionately. Quick, please sit. Yueling, your house is not bad. You spent a lot of money, right? Lin Yueling said with a smile. I spent 5 million. Who knew that the housing prices here would rise so quickly? Now it has more than tripled. Buying a house now costs more than 10 million. Regarding this point, she was quite proud. It could be considered as her successful work. Now everyone had a basic idea. If they wanted to earn money, they had to speculate in real estate. You're lucky. The Lin family despised her in their hearts. It was only 10 million, and she was so happy. If she could earn hundreds of millions, who knew how smug she would be? In the end, she had become a commoner. She had no idea what the rich families were like now. 10 million could be stuffed into the gaps between their teeth. Susu fruit, hey. The sun was very warm and there were no clouds for thousands of miles. When it fell on Lin Yueling's head, it shone dazzlingly. The woman in the cheongsam said, Yueling, this thing on your hair is very beautiful. Lin Yueling reached out and touched it. She said with a smile, Minor Repairs bought it for me. This brat, it's the first time he gave me a gift. It's a little expensive. Lin Ziqing's wife said, How expensive can it be? She had been brooding over her sons interrupted by Jiang Xiao. Lin Yueling said, 100 million. What? She was bragging. Lin Ziqing's wife Wang Jieli said, Yueling, how much did you say? Lin Yueling said, 100 million. She repeated this promise again. There was a carefree feeling in her heart. She had a feeling of raising her eyebrows. I'm living well after leaving the Lin family. Haha, Wang Jieli laughed out loud. Yueling, when did you get the habit of bragging? 100 million for a piece of jewelry like this? Are you kidding me? Lin Yueling said. Minor Repairs bought this in Europe. It was even reported in the newspapers, because of the high price. Lin Mi interrupted. RV's anniversary celebration sold the British royal family's Lowell crown necklace? Aunt Yueling, can you take it down and let us see it? The expressions of the few women around them changed. Lin Yueling was just short of a chance to show off. She immediately took off the necklace and placed a dry towel under it. Second sister-in-law, third sister-in-law, Lin Mi, and the other women all gathered around. Even Lin Zedong and the others looked curious. It's really. Because this matter was said to have been bought by a Chinese. It caused quite a stir in the capital's upper-class circle. 100 million euros for a piece of jewelry was enough to cause a sensation. In 2008, bribes were worth more than €1 billion. 1 billion for a piece of jewelry was crazy. There weren't many millionaires in China now. At that time, everyone was guessing who had bought it. Little me, is this really the 100 million piece of jewelry? Lin Xiaoke took out her phone and looked for the information. It was exactly the same. Yes, it's right. At this moment, everyone in the Lin family's expression changed. More than €1 billion to buy a piece of jewelry. If the Lin family were to operate it, how many projects could they clinch? Although the real estate market was booming now, which family didn't have a loan? There was no real money at all. This was a real luxury item that cost more than €1 billion. Lin Ziqing and Lin Zikong couldn't help but look at each other. They saw the shock in each other's eyes. Yueling, you're really generous to wear such expensive jewelry everywhere. After confirming, the Lin family couldn't reach out. If it really was broken, they couldn't afford to pay for it. They knew that Lin Yueling was flaunting her wealth, but there was nothing they could do. It's fine. Jewelry is meant to be worn. Seeing Lin Yueling casually put it on her head, the sisters-in-law's hearts twitched. Even the Queen of England didn't wear 100 million piece of jewelry. When Lin Yueling went back to her room, Wang Jieli said, Who knows if it's real or fake? Maybe they used a fake one? So what if it's real? There's still no one here. Just as they were talking, someone came in. Is this Mr. Jiang's house? The Lin family was stunned when they saw who it was. Chapter 304. An old man and a young girl came in. The old man was in his 60s. He was tall and his eyes were bright. The young girl was in her 20s, but she was very beautiful. Why is he here? This made the people of the Lin family very depressed. They were waiting for Jiang Xiu's family to make a fool of themselves, but a guest of such a high status had come. This guest was comparable to dozens of messy noble families. That person asked and then asked again. Is this Mr. Jiang's residence? Even in the face of a servant who came to help, he was somewhat respectful. This made the Lin family feel even more sorry for this person. Why did he have to be so polite to the Jiang family? The servant said, Yes, and you are? The man said, My name is Long Chuanru. This is my granddaughter Long Yingqing. We came here specially to give Mr. Jiang a New Year's greeting. Behind him, Long Yingqing handed over a gift. Her beautiful eyes looked straight into the villa. When they came over, they were worried about whether Jiang Xiu was at home. When they saw so many cars waiting at the door, they were sure that Jiang Xiu was at home. Wait a moment. This was also a rule of the rich and powerful families. Usually, when a guest came to give a New Year's greeting, the servants would directly lead him out. However, the rich and powerful families were different. Not everyone was qualified. They had to ask to make a decision. Not long after, they saw Jiang Xiu come out of the house. Long Chuanru and Long Yingqing hurried to greet him. The host came out personally to welcome the guest. Long Chuanru was a little excited. After Long Yingqing expressed her sincerity to Jiang Xiu that day, the pressure on the Long family suddenly disappeared. Mr. Jiang, I'm here to give you a New Year's greeting. Jiang Xiu smiled faintly. Same to you. His attitude was completely fake. When the Lin family saw him like this, they had the urge to rush up and hit him. However, they were very shocked. The Long family's power in the capital was not small. They were not inferior to the Lin family at all. The family head, Long Chuanru, actually came to congratulate Jiang Xiu personally on such an important day as the second day of the new year. Was it more important to give a New Year's greeting than to sit at home and receive guests from all over the world? Please come in. Long Chuanru and Long Yingqing walked inside, and when they entered, they realized that there were a lot of guests inside. They saw a few familiar faces, and they were all from the Lin family. He still did not know the relationship between the Lin family and Jiang Xiu. Old Master Lin is also here to give Mr. Jiang a New Year's greeting? Long Chuanru had a smile on his face and was very polite. But as soon as he said that, the Lin family's faces changed. What did he mean by paying Mr. Jiang a New Year's greeting? This was something that only a junior would do. Based on Old Master Lin's age, of course, he was not a junior of Jiang Xiu. He could only be a junior. How could the head of the Long family think that the Lin family wanted to climb up to Jiang Xiu? This was simply the most absurd thing in the world. Old Master Lin's expression immediately turned cold. He wanted to explain, but he didn't know where to start. Instead, he said, Mr. Long is also visiting Yueling's house? Long Chuanru said, I'm here especially to pay Mr. Jiang a New Year's greeting. The head of the Long family was paying a New Year's greeting to Jiang Xiu. No matter how one heard it, it was inconceivable. How capable was that kid from the Jiang family? If you want to pay a New Year's greeting, can't you just send a servant to send a gift? Lin Zedong blurted out. Long Chuanru hurriedly shook his head and said, It's my honor to pay a New Year's greeting to Mr. Jiang. How could I be so careless? Didn't everyone come in person? Looking at the Lin family's style, he felt that he had made a mistake again. Almost the entire family had come. Looking at their sincerity and then looking at himself, Long Chuanru felt that cold sweat was about to drip down his forehead. What a miscalculation! Lin Ziqing asked, Mr. Long, are you very close to Jiang Xiu? Long Chuanru said, My Long family is indebted to Mr. Jiang for taking care of us. If we're talking about being close, I'm afraid we're not as close as your Lin family. The Long family had just joined Jiang Xiu not long ago. Whoa. The people from the Lin family were a little confused. From his tone, it sounded like the Long family would have to rely on Jiang Xiu in the future. What was going on? Lin Ziqing still wanted to say something, but there were more guests at the door. This time there were more people. The voice of an old man at the door said, "Excuse me, is this Mr. Zhang's house?" Seeing the guests at the door, old Master Lin Ziqing, and the others were completely confused. They all stood up. "Please send a message. Just say that Gu Daji and his eldest brother, Gu Dikang, are here to pay a New Year's greeting to Mr. Jiang." The people standing at the door were not people from the Jiangnan frontier. What's wrong? The expressions of everyone in the Lin family changed. They couldn't believe it. The people from the Jiangnan frontier came to pay a New Year's greeting to Jiang Xiu on the second day of the New Year? Who would believe this if word got out? But the person who came was definitely Gu Daji. Moreover, the burly white-haired man beside him was the eldest son of the Gu family, Gu Dikang. The two pillars of the Gu family had actually come together. This, old Master Lin was shocked. He exchanged a look with Uncle Xian. Uncle Xian's face was also full of shock. It didn't make sense at all. No matter how influential Jiang Xiu was in Jiangnan, it was impossible for him to surpass Gu Daji, who was from the Jiangnan frontier. "You're here." Seeing Jiang Xiu, the Gu family brothers went up to him with smiles on their faces. "Mr. Jiang, Happy New Year." The people behind them quickly handed over their gifts. "Same to you." Jiang Xiu led them inside. Long Chuanru also came up to greet them. Lin Ziqing also hurriedly came up to greet them. Gu Shu, the Long family had boarded Jiang Xiu's boat. The Gu family had already learned from Wang Xintong that they were all on the same boat from now on. Of course, they had to help each other and form a force that could help each other. "Everyone, please sit." Jiang Xiu ignored the Lin family and casually asked the Long family to point out seats for the Gu family's guests. He casually said to Long Yingqing, "Go inside and help out." Long Yingqing replied, "Oh." The Lin family was confused. He ordered the eldest daughter of the Long family as if she was a servant. The Long family's master was not at all surprised. Instead, he was a little surprised. At this time, Jiang Yi was also upstairs. He was hiding and had nothing to do. When the Lin family came, he would hide as far as he could. However, when he heard that Gu Daji was here, he was very surprised. He was also a little confused. He thought that Gu Daji valued Jiang Xiu because of Jiang Xiu's influence in Jiangnan's underground. He never expected that Jiang Xiu had such great influence. Since his boss was here, he did not dare to hide. He quickly went downstairs to greet the guests. "Chuanru, you don't know him yet, right? This is Mr. Zhang's biological father, Jiang Yi." Long Chuanru hurriedly stood up. Jiang Yi was only a deputy secretary in a remote area of Jiangcheng. How could he deserve Long Chuanru's humble attitude? This was all because of Jiang Xiu. "Old Master Jiang, Happy New Year." Jiang Yi was very absent-minded. It was the first time that someone called him Old Master Jiang. Only then did he realize that he was old. His son had really grown up and had a promising future. Thank you. I also wish Old Master Long a Happy New Year." "Please sit down." The guests and the host were happy and chatting happily. However, the Lin family on the side was depressed. They were all confused by this scene. Lin Ziqing wanted to chat with Gu Daji, but he had already greeted him just now. The other party only nodded slightly. Without Jiang Xiu's recommendation, he was afraid that he would not be able to get up. Only now did he realize the strength of Jiang Xiu. How capable is this kid? The third generation's eldest grandson, Lin Shishao, said. He was shocked and puzzled. Yes, why? People like the Jiang family did not need to be paid attention to. Why did the high status of the Jiangnan frontier, the military department, and the Long family come to give him New Year's greetings and be so respectful? Old Master Lin, what do you think? Uncle Xian asked. Old Master Lin knew what Uncle Xian meant. If the Lin family had a relationship with Jiang Xiu on the surface, the Gu family would not dare to ignore them. However, Jiang Xiu had eyes first. If he did not give Lin Yueling an explanation, he would definitely not forgive the Lin family. The juniors nowadays are simply uneducated. With his seniority and experience, The Gu family's brothers actually did not come to greet him. This made him very angry. Did they look down on him just because he had lost his power and retired to the second line? They were simply snobbish. However, this was the truth. No matter how much he hated them, there was nothing he could do. The Gu family is also declining day by day. Gu Deji will retire next year, and Gu Dikang will also have to hand over his power after the military department is adjusted. At that time, what will the Gu family have? How dare they put on airs in front of the Lin family? If the Lin family had not coveted Gu Deji's recommendation before he retired to the second line, they would not have cared about the Gu family at all. However, at this time a voice came from the door. "Excuse me, is this Mr. Zhang's house?" When he saw the person at the door clearly, Old Master Lin stood up immediately. Everyone in the Lin family was stunned, as if they had been struck by lightning. They saw a man with an extraordinary aura slowly walk over. Chapter 305. The man seemed to be less than 60 years old. He was rather tall, dignified, and serious. When the servant at the door saw the visitor, his mind went blank. He had seen him on TV countless times, but he had never thought that he would appear in front of him one day. His voice was trembling. "Mr. Jiang is inside. I'll lead you there." This visitor definitely did not need to be asked. Mr. Jiang would definitely meet him. "Okay, sorry to trouble you." The servant led the way. He felt his legs trembling. The entire Lin family was completely dumbfounded. This was simply exploding. Old Master Lin's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Oh my God! The women of the Lin family all covered their mouths, afraid that they would scream. "Mr. Jiang!" the servant shouted excitedly. Jiang Xiao and the others looked over from the lotus pond. The Gu family brothers, the head of the Long family, and Jiang Yi were also stunned. Then they could not control themselves. Jiang Xiao was also very surprised. Big boss. The person who came was the big boss of Dio Yutai, the most authoritative man in Hua Nation. Everyone wanted to call him father when they saw him. The big boss revealed a rare smile. "I'm here to give you a New Year's greeting." Jiang Xiao smiled and said, "Have I become one of the people in trouble?" The big boss laughed loudly. In the past, the big boss would go to the mountainous areas to express his condolences on the first and second day of the new year. Unexpectedly, it became Jiang Xiao's joke. "Please take a seat." Long Chuanru and the Gu family brothers did not dare to sit. They had already stood up. Jiang Yi was completely stunned. The big boss actually came to his family to celebrate the new year? Looking at Jiang Xiao, who was chatting happily with the big boss, the Lin family felt as if 10,000 alpacas were galloping through their hearts. They cursed in their hearts. Oh my God! This was a big deal. Old Master Lin looked at Jiang Xiao. His mind was buzzing. Where did this kid come from? Even the big boss came to give him a New Year's greeting. This time he would never be able to guess it. But one thing was for sure. The Jiang family was flying. Uncle Xian had already thought highly of Jiang Xiao, but in the end, he realized that he had still underestimated him. At this moment, he was also dumbfounded, and the shock in his heart could not be quelled for a long time. The juniors of the Lin family were all dumbstruck. He was talking and laughing with the big boss. Oh my God, she thought to herself, he couldn't be the big boss's illegitimate son, right? Damn, her aunt was really something, but she couldn't imagine that this was absolutely impossible. Gu Dikang said, "Big boss, you didn't bring any bodyguards?" This big boss only brought a chauffeur. This was too casual. Although the law and order in the country was very good, he couldn't be so reckless. The big boss said, "Do you still need a bodyguard in Mr. Zhang's house?" The strongest man in China was here. If he couldn't protect the big boss, no place in China would be safe. Gu Dikang said, "You're right, big boss." Jiang Xiao smiled faintly. He knew that no one could kill the big boss in front of him, whether it was a sniper rifle or a bomb, unless they used nuclear weapons. But that was obviously impossible. He introduced, "Big boss, this is my father Jiang Yi." The big boss had actually paid attention to Jiang Xiao because of Jiang Yi. "Hello." Jiang Yi shook the big boss's hand. He was very excited. His son actually introduced the big boss to him. This was too much. His eyes were about to turn red. At this moment Lin Yueling came out with tea. When she saw the big boss, she was also stunned and spilled the tea. "This is my mother, Lin Yueling." The big boss said, "Hello, Madam Lin." Madam Lin gave birth to a good son. It's a great fortune for China, a great fortune for the nation. Lin Yueling was stunned. The big boss had such a high opinion of Jiang Xiu. She didn't know that the Battle of the Heavenly Gates had a huge impact on China internationally. Jiang Xiu had been recognized as a god abroad. The actual influence of a god's existence was even greater than whether this country had nuclear weapons or not. Her eyes reddened and tears rolled down her cheeks. She recalled the time when she brought her son to the capital for help and was rejected. She felt as if her whole world had collapsed. She had never thought that there would be such a day where her son would be so promising that the big boss would come in person and say such words of praise. This was the big boss, and his promises were worth 1,000 taels of gold. Any word he said would cause a huge uproar. "Big boss, have some tea." The big boss nodded slightly. He had heard some things about Lin Yueling when he learned more about Jiang Xiu. He also admired her. The daughter of a rich family left home to pursue love. She worked in the marketplace to raise her son. "Thank you, Mr. Jiang. Can I have a word with you?" What kind of status did the big boss have? He had to deal with a myriad of affairs every day, especially at this juncture. Jiang Xiu guessed that there must be something going on today. Jiang Xiu pointed to the pond not far away, and the two of them walked over. The big boss came here because of the huge changes in the world. Now, not only abroad, the situation in China was also emerging. "Mr. Jiang, do you have a way to reverse it?" Jiang Xiu shook his head. "The wheel of history has changed greatly. The saint is willing to suffer the pain of being burned at the stake to let the alternate world descend. Nothing can be stopped. It's only a matter of time. However, we still need an opportunity to completely descend." The big boss said, "What opportunity?" Jiang Xiu said, "Gather the 6 longevity stone talismans." The big boss said, "If we don't gather the 6 longevity stone talismans, does it mean that the alternate world can't completely descend?" Jiang Xiu said, "It will still descend. However, if we have the 6 longevity stone talismans, we will have the initiative. If we don't know how this world will develop and where it will go." The big boss said, "Gods have appeared abroad. Their destructive power is very strong. Ordinary martial arts can't do anything to them. According to the experts' prediction, the same situation in China will happen soon. A demon has appeared in Jiangnan, and it was Mr. Jiang who did it personally." Jiang Xiu smiled faintly. "A demon god. Its strength is not weak. It escaped, but its injuries are very serious. It won't come out to stir up trouble for a while." The big boss said worriedly, "Our country has a lot of land and resources. This demon god that Mr. Jiang mentioned is definitely not the only one. This will bring a huge hidden danger to the stability and prosperity of our country." Jiang Xiu said, "That's true. As time passed, the situation would only get worse." The big boss said, "I came here this time because I have a presumptuous request. I also know that Mr. Jiang's knowledge is forbidden to be spread. However, the current situation is very bad. I would like to ask Mr. Jiang to take up an important position in our army and pass down the forbidden technique. If the situation was serious, the soldiers would have to improve their strength in advance. They had already realized that they couldn't deal with ordinary martial arts. Jiang Xiu also didn't want to be in a mess when the time came. However, what he learned were the techniques of Tianqing school. They couldn't be spread. The big boss saw Jiang Xiu's ugly expression and couldn't help but feel his heart sink. Before he came, many people told him that the possibility of success was very low. In the martial arts world, the ultimate skills of the sect were more important than one's own life. They absolutely couldn't be spread easily. However, he still wanted to try. After all, the situation was too serious. This thing can't be achieved in a day or two. The big boss said, "We know, but it's better to do something than not to do it." The people outside were very nervous. Even though they were far away and wouldn't disturb Jiang Xiu's conversation with the big boss, they still didn't say a word. They sat upright and still. The two of them talked for a long time. They thought that it would be over after a few words, but they talked for more than an hour. The big boss also stood there for more than an hour. In the end, when the big boss left, his expression was still very serious. He waved to everyone present, especially Jiang Xiu's parents. They especially went up to thank him before leaving. When they left the Jiang family's door, there were bodyguards outside. Jiang Xiu said, "Sorry to have kept everyone waiting. Let's start the banquet." When the big boss came, the banquet was about to start. However, it was delayed for more than an hour. It was almost 1 o'clock now. Some people who ate early might have already eaten in the afternoon. However, who dared to say no? What a joke. He was the big boss. He was willing to starve for 2 meals. I don't dare. The weather was cold. At this time, the dishes were already cold. Lin Yueling saw this and ordered the servants to reheat the dishes. However, the dishes that were reheated would definitely taste worse. "Mrs. Jiang, don't bother. We don't mind," Gu Deji said hurriedly. At this time, the people of the Lin family all looked as if they had been struck by lightning. Their eyes were dull and blank. Chapter 306. Was Jiang Xiu's influence so great that it made people's hair stand on end? The Long family clung to him. The 2 pillars of the Gu family bowed down to him. And the most frustrating thing was that even the big boss came to give him a New Year's greeting. This was crazy. They had never heard of the big boss coming to give a New Year's greeting on the second day of the new year. This was definitely the first time. The second day of the new year was so busy. It was time to greet the defenders of various positions. Not only did he come here to give a personal New Year's greeting, but he also stayed for more than an hour. It was obvious how terrifying Jiang Xiu's influence was. Now they finally understood why the heads of the Long family and the Gu family came personally. Since the big boss was here, what else could they not understand? Moreover, the Long family and the Gu family behaved so humbly in front of Jiang Xiu. When they spoke to Jiang Xiu, they subconsciously nodded and bowed like slaves. It gave them the feeling that these 2 families were relying on the power of the Jiang family. They were just subordinates. It was too shocking. They were so shocked that they were dumbfounded. The banquet started. Everyone ate the cold dishes first. The staple foods such as rice cakes were brought in to be heated. Jiang Xiu's family sat at the same table as the guests of the Gu family and the Long family. The Lin family had already sat at 3 tables. But no one in the Lin family was in the mood to eat. Old Master Lin was in a daze. Lin Ziqing felt like ants were crawling on his heart. From time to time, he would stretch his head to look at Jiang Xiu's table. At this moment, he wished so much that he could call out to him and ask him to eat at that table. The other members of the Lin family also ate without any taste. The difference in their hearts was too great. They originally came to watch the Jiang family make a fool of themselves, but in the end, they were slapped in the face. Moreover, it was such a shocking slap that their hands and feet were still a little stiff. "Mr. Jiang, I wish you a happy new year." Long Chuanru stood up respectfully. "My Long family will do our best for Mr. Jiang in the coming year." Old Master Lin and Lin Ziqing were shocked when they heard this. How was this a celebration of the Lunar New Year? This was simply a show of loyalty. Jiang Xiu didn't even get up. He even King said, "Work hard." This was just like how a leader would dupe his subordinates. The Long family will select an outstanding disciple to enter the Skyline Biology group. For the specific matters, look for the Wang family. "Thank you, Mr. Jiang." Long Chuanru was overjoyed. He was so excited that he drank a full glass of Maotai. The hot alcohol made his face twist, but he drank happily. The Skyline Biological Group was used to train disciples to deal with the changes in the future. The Long family was able to occupy a position in the group, which meant that they had truly joined Mr. Jiang's ship. Gu Deji also stood up. "Mr. Jiang, I wish you a happy new year. In the coming year, the Gu family will also do their best for Mr. Jiang." Jiang Xiu had helped the Gu family a lot, including his official career and military career. But after all, it was because of the insistence of the big family that he didn't lose his power. They had always been friends. But today, the big boss appeared and immediately dispelled all the concerns of the Gu family. They joined Jiang Xiu's ship without hesitation. This caused the Lin family to explode in anger. Was the Lin family also a force under Jiang Xiu? Oh my god. Neither the Long family nor the Gu family was weaker than the Lin family now. Jiang Xiu nodded slightly. The Gu family was facing a situation where Jiang Xiu could help them develop freely. After Gu Diji and Gu Dikang retired, the Gu family would suffer a setback. Therefore, the Gu family's defection was also expected. The appearance of the big boss brought this matter forward and made their attitude more resolute. Jiang Xiu said, "The big boss has already approved the Gu family's matter." Gu Diji was overjoyed. "Really?" Jiang Xiu said, "Do it well." It was still a very stupid sentence, but the pavilion was like music to Gu Diji's ears. This meant that he, Gu Diji, could improve. The Gu family had one more person who had the ability to become the head of the Jiangnan frontier. This meant that the Gu family could fly. Gu Diji said, "Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jiang." He looked like he was about to cry. He even sniffled. The Lin family couldn't sit still anymore. It looked like Gu Diji had improved. Jiang Xiu could actually influence the big boss. This was simply explosive. If this was the case, it wouldn't be difficult for Lin Ziqing to pursue the Jiangnan frontier. He was originally a strong competitor. Gu Diji said, "Gu Diping's matter." Jiang Xiu said, "He will be the head of the Jiangnan frontier. The big boss has also approved." What? Lin Ziqing stood up abruptly. Gu Deping was only the deputy provincial secretary of a backward province. He was far from being qualified in terms of ability and experience. The big boss actually let him be the head of the Jiangnan frontier. They had worked so hard, and in the end, an unknown dark horse had benefited? And all of this was because of Jiang Xiu's attitude? Bastard, you're helping an outsider. Lin Ziqing couldn't take it anymore. He walked over and said, "Jiang Xiu, why didn't you say earlier that you could handle this matter?" Jiang Xiu said, "I do have the ability to settle the Jiangnan frontier, but I won't give it to you. What can you do?" Lin Ziqing's eyes widened. The muscles under his eyes twitched. "Also, who are you?" Lin Ziqing said guiltily. "I'm your second uncle." Jiang Xiu said, "You're my second uncle? Do you have the right?" As early as 20 years ago, my mother was kicked out of the Lin family. You know the reason in your heart. If the Lin family doesn't give my mother an explanation, she will never return to the Lin family. And I have nothing to do with the Lin family. Jiang Xiu's tone was firm. In the past, he only thought that he was arrogant. Now that he knew that he was qualified, he didn't care about the Lin family at all. Lin Ziqing was speechless. The entire Lin family was devastated. Lin Mi had long known that Jiang Xiu had great influence, but she didn't expect Jiang Xiu's influence to be so great that he could influence the selection of the Jiangnan frontier. She sighed in her heart. She had mentioned to her grandparents that they would regret missing out on Jiang Xiu. Now it really happened. The Lin family missed the opportunity to rise again. She looked at her grandfather. Old Master Lin's face also showed hesitation. Although he tried to hide something deep in his eyes, it was obvious that he was regretting it. "I'm not feeling well. I'll go back first." "Dad." "Grandpa." Old Master Lin got up and walked back. Everyone in the Lin family tried to persuade him. In the past, they would have left, but now Jiang Xiu was so powerful. How could they bear to leave just like that? Lin Yueling got up. It was etiquette for the guests to leave to send them off. "Dad, the banquet has just started." Old Master Lin looked at Lin Yueling. He wanted to say something but hesitated. After a while, he squeezed out a sentence. "You guys eat. I'm not feeling well. After the spring rush, come and sit at home." The only one in the Jiang family that he could win over was Lin Yueling. Okay. The other members of the Lin family still ate until the end of the banquet. Their faces changed. The sisters-in-law of the Lin family took the initiative to talk to Lin Yueling. Just now they were disdainful, but now they were flattering and praising her. She felt sad for the ugliness of her so-called relatives, but she also felt a kind of exaltation and satisfaction of revenge. She looked at Jiang Xiu. The happiest thing in her life was giving birth to this son. He was so powerful that he could trample the Lin family under his feet. When Long Yingqing entered the room and saw Cheng Lingsu, she thought that she was Cheng Lingran. But after taking a closer look, there was still a difference. Chung Lingsu was slightly younger. What's your relationship with Chung Lingran? Chung Lingsu said. That's my sister. Do you know my sister? Long Yingqing said. We're from the same school. We've met before. Although it was an unpleasant encounter, it was all in the past. So you're Chung Lingran's sister. Do you two sisters look alike? Chung Lingsu smiled sweetly. Right? Many people say that, but I feel that I'm prettier than my sister. Hehe. Long Yingqing looked at Chung Lingsu, whose smile was like a flower, and her cold face warmed a little. I think so too. Where's your sister? Chung Lingsu said. She's in Jiangnan. Hearing this, she breathed a sigh of relief. She was afraid to see Chung Lingran now. As for the reason, it was because she scolded Chung Lingran in the cafeteria. If she got angry, Long Yingqing didn't dare to resist. She would be bullied, so she couldn't afford to offend her. Mom, it seems that there's no soy sauce. Lin Yueling answered outside. Let the servants buy it. Lin Xiaoke said with great effort. I'll go, Long Yingqing said. You call Mr. Zhang's mother Mom. Isn't your surname Cheng? Chung Lingsu said shyly. She's my mother-in-law. Long Yingqing's beautiful big eyes almost popped out. You're Mr. Zhang's wife? She remembered a rumor in the upper-class circle. But she didn't dare to say it. There were rumors outside about Jiang Xiu and Zhuo Yuchen of the Zhuo family. If she talked nonsense, she would make trouble for Jiang Xiu's family. That guy was quite scary when he dealt with people. Chapter 307. Chung Lingsu curiously looked at the cold girl in front of her, waiting for her to continue, but Long Yingqing abruptly stopped, which made Chung Lingsu a little nervous. Does he have someone outside? Long Yingqing hurriedly waved her hand and said, No, you misunderstood. I just find it strange. You and Jiang Xiu are still so young. How can you get married so early? Chung Lingsu said with relief. I was engaged to him when I was young. Long Yingqing revealed a look of realization. Fortunately, the topic changed quickly, and she was able to muddle through it. However, she felt even more strange in her heart. It was said that Jiang Xiu and Zhuo Yuchen had also been engaged since they were young. Did a person have two engagements? She didn't know that the spiritual cultivation person had 3 fiancés. Chung Lingsu curiously asked, How is he at school? Is he as boring as a gourd? Long Yingqing smiled. It's okay, he doesn't come to school often. The two of them were about the same age, so they quickly chatted, from professional to some trivial things, especially Chung Lingsu recently entered the financial market, and Long Yingqing herself was also studying economic management. Because of the relationship with Tianmen, her status in the family was also very high, and she controlled some of the family business, so she naturally had to learn how to take care of it. The luncheon didn't end until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. After the banquet, the Lin family planned to leave. Lin Yueling got up to send them off. Lin Ziqing called Lin Yueling to the side and chatted for a long time. That enthusiasm showed that there were so many contradictions. Yueling, this year it's the third family's turn to receive guests. The time is Thursday, and your family will give you an explanation. Lin Yueling nodded. Yueling, come early as a family. Lin Zikong's wife, Wang Jili, took Lin Yueling's hand, completely ignoring the matter of her son being broken by Jiang Xiu. Okay, I'll be early. She knew that after the Lin family went back today, they would definitely be shocked, whether or not they would apologize for what happened in the past, and then punish Lin Yueling. In fact, with Lin Yueling's contact with the Lin family, this desire became more and more faint, because she knew the inner thoughts of the Lin family. Even if they confessed to Lin Yueling for what they did in the past, it was not sincere. It could be described in one sentence. You can have my body, but you can't have my heart. However, Lin Yueling was in a very good mood. Today, she could finally hold her head up high. The mocking and ridiculing faces from back then were now full of flattery. Even that old Master Lin, who had looked down on her, had a look of regret in his eyes before he left. He even had a pleading look, wanting to beg her to help the Lin family. She felt that all the years of all the suffering of the past years were worth it. Perhaps this matter was not handled perfectly, But it was like a woman who didn't love you. Even if you couldn't understand her, you should at least get her body. No matter what, it was better than having her heart empty. But then again, the world was full of people who came and went for benefits. This was the side of human nature. And it was not a big deal to understand it and see through it. The relationship between the rich and powerful was thin. And it revolved around whoever was in power. Aunt Yueling come early. Lin Xiaoke's mouth was very sweet. Her parents immediately gave her a look of approval. What a good way to address her as Auntie. Aunt will be leaving first. Immediately, the younger generation all began to call her Aunt. It was as if by calling her Aunt, Lin Yueling would return to the Lin family. Should we greet cousin? Lin Yueling looked back. Jiang Xiao, the Long family, and the Gu family were still seated, so she said, he's still greeting guests, don't bother with him. After sending everyone away, Lin Yueling walked back. She felt that it was funny, but she still had a smile on her face. She said to Jiang Xiao, son, invite the guests to the pond. Mom will get someone to make a pot of tea and some sunflower seeds. Jiang Xiao saw Lin Yueling's smile and knew that she was very satisfied with today. Okay, let's go somewhere else and get the servants to clean up. Long Chuanru said, letting Qing make the tea. She's learned the art of tea before. Jiang Yi also got up and walked inside. Because he was Mr. Zhang's father, his status had risen sharply. He felt that it was a pity. If it weren't for the prison incident and Jiang Xiao's influence, he definitely would have had the chance to become a provincial governor. But now he could only be a deputy secretary in Jiang City. Gu Deji's promotion of him had violated the rules many times, so he couldn't improve in a short time. Seeing that Lin Yueling's mood had improved, Jiang Yi also dared to go over and say, I heard that Lin Zikong is receiving guests on the 4th day of the new year. Lin Yueling boiled water and said, yes. Why are you rushing back to Jiangnan? Leaders were very busy, especially during the new year. Everyone was resting at home, but the leaders had to go out to work. Even the big bosses didn't rest, so what right did they have to rest? They had to go down to the county and the countryside to comfort the people. Jiang Yi said, it's hard to say. We'll see when the time comes. They invited us mainly because they want to go there for minor repairs. Whether we're willing to go or not depends on whether the Lin family will confess to you what happened in the past. Lin Yueling said, that's not for me to worry about. Do you remember that the Lin family also arranged a marriage for Jiang Xiao? Jiang Yi said, it seems that there was such a thing. Lin Yueling said, that girl is from the Zhou family. I've seen her before. Her parents and I used to know each other. Later, they died in an accident. The little girl was only 3 years old at that time. Don't mention how pitiful she was. Later, she was adopted by her uncle. Jiang Yi said, speaking of which, her life experience is quite pitiful. Lin Yueling sighed. Yes. Otherwise, the Zhou family wouldn't have arranged for her to go to minor repairs. Now in the capital, there are rumors that I've returned to the Lin family. This marriage is also spread. It's said that Jiang Xiao and that girl are going to be together. The news has spread like wildfire. Several of my friends have called to ask about it. Jiang Yi said, the Lin family still has to beg for minor repairs. This matter is even more difficult to decide. What's more, the minor repairs person is already married to Su Su. When the time comes, everything will be fine. Lin Yueling said, I'm afraid that the Zhou family will dislike that girl because of this. She has no parents. Living in a rich and powerful family, she must have had a hard time these years. If this matter happens again, I'm afraid it will be one disaster after another. Jiang Yi looked at his wife in front of him. It was as if he saw the Lin family's eldest daughter with a kind heart under her unruly exterior. After so many years, she still hadn't changed. Then what do you want to do? Lin Yueling shook her head and said, I haven't thought about it yet. It's best to have a win-win solution. She hoped that the Lin family's reputation and Zhou Yuchen's situation wouldn't be affected. It's difficult. Jiang Yi said, it's not impossible to treat it as a rumor. After all, our son is married. People will soon forget about this matter. Lin Yueling said, I hope it's possible. At this time, the water was boiling. They brought the hot water out and waited to see Long Ingqing perform the tea ceremony. The guests stayed until 4 o'clock. When the sky was about to turn dark, they really couldn't stay for dinner. Only then did the two families get up and leave. They were all satisfied and got what they wanted. Especially the Gu family. If everything turned out to be true, the Gu family would definitely soar. According to the current situation, the status of armaments will obviously increase in the future. Mr. Zhang's Tianqing biology group will become more prominent. Will the Gu family's quota be too small? Gu Dikang said. Yes, compared to the Long family, it's pitifully small. However, Mr. Jiang has already shown great favor to the Gu family. Regarding the quota for Tianqing biology group, we'll think of a way to solve it from Wang Xintong. Mr. Jiang definitely won't care about such a small matter, Gu Deji said. That girl from the Wang family has really become something. It was a bit difficult for him, a dignified military chief, to negotiate with a little girl. Big brother, that's Mr. Zhang's spokesperson. It's easy to meet the king of hell, but difficult to deal with the little ghosts. Now that I've met her, I'll agree to anything she says. Gu Deji's experience in the political field made him understand the situation better than his big brother in the military. The people in the military were relatively simpler, and even a little reckless. Today is such an important day. Why didn't the Wang family show up? Gu Dikang asked. This? Gu Deji finally reacted. He pondered for a moment and said, Mr. Jiang probably only let the Wang family manage the underground and capital. The Wang family can't interfere with official matters. They don't have the right to do so. On the third day of the new year, Lin Yueling woke Jiang Xiu up early in the morning. Minor repairs. Get up. Come with Mom to Baoyin Mountain. Huh? Jiang Xiu wondered if he had heard wrong. Baoyin Mountain was a cemetery. Chapter 308. Jiang Xiu washed up and went downstairs. Lin Yueling had already prepared breakfast. There was soy milk and fried dough sticks. He sat down and started eating. Why are we going to Baoyin Mountain? It's the new year. Lin Yueling sighed and said, I'm taking you to see a bunch of Mom's old friends? Jiang Xiu thought that they should be very important friends. Otherwise, they wouldn't be going on the third day of the new year. He casually asked, Who? Lin Yueling said, You'll know when we get there. Jiang Xiu said, Isn't that ass-kisser going to follow us? Jiang Xiu despised Cheng Lingsu in his heart. He didn't think that he would blurt it out. Lin Yueling said in a bad mood, Someone is being filial to your mom and you're not happy. You call that person an ass-kisser. Su is 100 times more obedient than you. Next time, you're not allowed to call her that. Jiang Xiu was depressed. Mom, I'm your son. The third day of the new year was a joyous day. No one would come to sweep a tomb on this day. It was empty and cold. Jiang Xiu was not unfamiliar with this place. In his previous life, his parents were buried here. Therefore, when Lin Yueling mentioned this place, he immediately knew. Mom, who are we going to see? The mother and son were dressed in simple and elegant clothes. Jiang Xiu was holding flowers, ingots, and candles. He had brought everything he needed to sweep a tomb. Lin Yueling stopped in front of a tombstone. It's here. Jiang Xiu looked at the tombstone. On it was a photo of a young couple. The man was called Zhuo Chonghua, and the woman was called Xielan. The man looked scholarly and the woman was beautiful and refined. These two were Mom's good friends when she was young. Lin Yueling's face revealed a sad expression. She looked at the photo on the tombstone and her eyes gradually turned red. Time flies. In the blink of an eye, 20 years have passed. I haven't returned to the capital for 20 years, nor have I been able to help you take care of your daughter. I even have to. Lin Yueling's voice was choked with sobs. Don't blame me. The feelings of youth were the most precious. Last night, Lin Yueling thought of her old friend and couldn't fall asleep. She tossed and turned in bed. It was fine that she couldn't take care of her old friend's daughter, but now she had to hurt her. With Lin Yueling's nature, she felt very guilty and blamed herself. She dragged Jiang Xiu to visit the grave early in the morning, regardless of what day it was. Minor repairs, cleaning your uncle's and auntie's graves. Looking at Lin Yueling's appearance, These two should be her very good friends when they were alive. As a junior, it was natural for her to do so. She responded and cleaned up the tomb, offered fresh flowers, and placed the offerings. Then she took the iron bucket on the side and burned paper money in it. The flames were still burning, and the burnt paper was flying in the air, emitting the smell of burnt incense and candles, adding to the sadness. Apologize to your uncle and auntie. Jiang Xiu was stunned. He was simply baffled. He was dragged to visit the grave on the third day of the new year. Not only that, but he was also asked to apologize. Mom, what did I do wrong? Looking at her son's confused face, Lin Yueling realized that she didn't make it clear. Just as she was about to speak, she heard footsteps. She looked over and saw a woman in a black trench coat walking over with white lilies in her hands. She was very beautiful, but perhaps it was because she was here to sweep the tombs, so even though she had no makeup on, she was still elegant and refined. She had a head of long hair, willowy eyebrows, eyes as clear as autumn waters, and lips slightly pale. Her entire person exuded a sense of laziness, but the sadness in the depths of her eyes was vivid on her face, making people feel protective of her. She was about 1.7 meters tall, slightly taller than the Cheng family Shuangzhu. Her posture was soft, and her hips swayed as she walked. She was very elegant, and her charm was restrained. Jiang Xiu had seen her before. In his previous life, he had seen this languid woman with a hint of sadness. The person who came was Zuo Yuchen. To some extent, the feeling she gave to Jiang Xiu was very similar to that of Cheng Lingran in his previous life. Perhaps it was because Zuo Yuchen and Cheng Lingran were both older than Jiang Xiu, and they had given Jiang Xiu the warmth they gave him. She was very surprised to see Jiang Xiu and his mother. Her eyes flashed strangely, and her tone was filled with surprise and respect. You two are? Lin Yueling said. You are? She said. I'm Zuo Yuchen. Lin Yueling sized her up and said emotionally, you've grown so big. I'm your Auntie Yueling. I even took care of you when you were young. Zuo Yuchen said. Auntie Lin Yueling. Lin Yueling nodded. She placed the flowers in front of her parents' tombstone and said, Thank you for coming to see my parents. At this point, Jiang Xiu realized that this was the tombstone of Zuo Yuchen's parents. It turned out that her background was so pitiful. She was actually an orphan. Thinking back to his previous life, she stood in front of her mother's tombstone and cried. It turned out that she was feeling emotional. At that time, she must have felt that she was in the same situation as him. However, Zuo Yuchen didn't raise her head to look at Jiang Xiu from beginning to end. This made Jiang Xiu a little disappointed. In his previous life he couldn't even protect himself, but she took care of him. In this life he was the ruler of the world, but she ignored him. Cheng Lingran was like that, and so was Zuo Yuchen. However, Cheng Lingsu, who disdained him in his previous life, was entangled with him. Lin Yueling kept staring at Zuo Yuchen. How have you been these years? Zuo Yuchen said, very good. Grandpa, Grandma, Dad, Mom. They are all very good to me. They raised me and trained me. I can now support myself. Lin Yueling looked into her eyes. Her expression was calm. From her calm eyes, she could see straight into her heart. Lin Yueling also came from a rich and powerful family. Perhaps there were differences in the relationship between the parents, but the environment was very similar. Without her biological parents, how could she grow up happily like other children? Thinking of her two old friends leaving quietly and leaving behind an orphan girl, her eyes couldn't help but moisten. I heard that you went abroad to study medicine. How did you start a business? Zuo Yuchen's parents were in a car accident and were sent to the hospital. At that time, the Zuo family thought that the doctors were useless. Because of this, Zuo Yuchen had the idea of studying medicine. However, it was unknown why she started a business instead of a doctor. Zuo Yuchen said, My psychological quality is not good. I'm not suitable to be a doctor. Oh. Lin Yueling nodded. It's good to do business. Now it's the era of comprehensive economy. Everyone is immersed in developing the economy. It's a good time. I haven't returned to the capital in the past 20 years, so I didn't go to the Zuo family to see you. Don't remember my bad. Zuo Yuchen was shocked. Aunt, don't say that. She just heard that Lin Yueling had a good relationship with her parents. She was surprised that she blamed herself so much. It seemed that Lin Yueling's relationship with her parents was not ordinary. Then she thought about it. She didn't know if it was because of the rumor about her marriage with her son. When this matter was mentioned, she noticed that there was a young man standing beside Lin Yueling. If there was no accident, it should be Jiang Xiu who was rumored to be engaged to her. She didn't even look at him because she didn't intend to accept this engagement. Lu Xuanji promised her that he would solve this matter. The Jiang family was guilty, and so was Zuo Yuchen. Especially, Lin Yueling came to visit the tomb on the third day of the new year. Under this friendship, her heart became more and more guilty. Lin Yueling didn't expect that she could meet Zuo Yuchen on the third day of the new year, when she came to visit the tomb. Out of guilt, she wanted to take Jiang Xiu to apologize and then let this matter go. Daughter, I won't stay here. You can talk with your parents for a while. It was not suitable to stay here for a long time. Zuo Yuchen bowed slightly to Lin Yueling. Thank you, Auntie. Lin Yueling walked back with Jiang Xiu. Zuo Yuchen turned and watched them leave. Lin Yueling was one of the few people who still thought about her parents in her heart, which filled her heart with feelings. But at this time, Jiang Xiu turned back. Zuo Yuchen was shocked. She felt like she was caught peeping. Jiang Xiu said, Sister Yuchen, if you encounter something you can't solve in the future, and it's not convenient for your family to help, you can come to me. These words of spiritual cultivation came from the heart. They didn't have any intersection in this life, but he didn't dare to forget the kindness of his previous life. And now, Jiang Xiu dared to make such a promise. Zuo Yuchen smiled lightly. When she didn't smile, her expression was lazy and sad. This smile was like a flower blooming in the barren desert. It was breathtaking. Thank you. Chapter 309. The mother and son went down Baoyan Mountain and got into the car to return to the city. Lin Yueling sighed. She looked back at Baoyan Mountain through the car window. Her heart was full of guilt and regret. She remembered clearly how the Zuo couple had taken care of her. Only the two of them supported her marriage with Jiang Yi. Jiang Yi was able to work in Jiangnan because of Zuo Chonghua's painstaking efforts. Leaving an orphan in this world, Lin Yueling even wanted to adopt her when she heard about it. However, she still had her grandparents. As an outsider, she couldn't make the decision. Now that she saw her as an adult, she was very gratified. However, the faint sadness on the girl's body made her feel very protective. If it weren't for the fact that Jiang Xiu already had Cheng Lingsu, letting her son marry her would be the best consolation for her old friend in the underworld. Lin Yueling said, I don't know how her situation is in the Zuo family. Jiang Xiu said, Mom, do you sympathize with her? Lin Yueling shook her head and said, It's not sympathy. It's guilt. A child who lost her parents in a wealthy family. You should be able to imagine the humiliation she has suffered since she was young. Although Jiang Xiu didn't grow up in a wealthy family, he had a deep understanding of their faces. In many aspects, Jiang Xiu felt that he was somewhat similar to Zuo Yuchen. Mom is worried that once you break off the engagement with Yuchen, it will make her situation in the Zuo family more difficult. Lin Yueling's brows were tightly knitted. This was indeed very disadvantageous for Zuo Yuchen. This was also not what Jiang Xiu wanted to see. Jiang Xiu said, Then what should I do? Lin Yueling said, Aren't you very resourceful? After his rebirth, Cheng Lingran was the person he wanted to marry the most, followed by Zuo Yuchen. However, he had to marry Cheng Lingsu. According to his plan, he could divorce Cheng Lingsu in a matter of minutes and marry Zuo Yuchen. Then the problem would be solved. However, even if he had 10 guts, he wouldn't dare to say such a thing. He shook his head to show that he couldn't think of a way. Lin Yueling said angrily, Aren't you usually quite capable? You always drop the ball at critical moments. Mom, can't you be more reasonable? No. Jiang Xiu could only conclude like this. When they got home, Lin Yueling began to prepare lunch. Cheng Lingsu had already woken up. She took out a notebook and began to study financial trends. Lin Yueling did not see Jiang Yi, so she asked, Su, where's your dad? Cheng Lingsu said, I haven't seen him since I woke up. I thought he went out with you guys. Little Xiao, give your dad a call. He must have gone to find a place to play chess. Call him when it's time to eat. Before Jiang Xiao finished speaking, Jiang Yi came back. He was a little depressed. Jiang Xiao was right about him going out to find someone to play chess with. However, after going around, he did not meet anyone who could play chess with him. Who would be so free as to go to the park on the third day of the new year, to play chess with his friends? Jiang Yi said, "It's boring to stay here." Lin Yueling said unhappily, "You want to go back to Jiangnan, right?" There were colleagues and chess friends in Jiangnan. Most importantly, he could avoid going to the Lin family tomorrow. Even if Jiang Xiao convinced the Lin family, they still had prejudice against him and would roll their eyes at him. Jiang Yi said, "I'm asking you if you met anyone." Lin Yueling rolled her eyes at him, but she knew that her husband was in the most difficult position. So she said, "If you want to go back, then go back. How about this? Su, go back to Jiangnan with your dad. It's already the third day of the new year, and you haven't returned to your parents' home." Cheng Lingsu was very surprised. According to the original arrangement, they could only go back on the fifth day of the new year. She looked at Jiang Xiao in confusion, but Jiang Xiao ignored her. Oh, Cheng Lingsu did not understand, but she still responded obediently. "Ask someone to prepare the plane." Jiang Xiao's heart was as clear as a mirror. He wanted Cheng Lingsu to go back, because he was worried that she would hear about Zhuo Yuchen's incident. He was afraid that his daughter-in-law would be unhappy. What Lin Yueling didn't know was that Cheng Lingsu didn't care about this at all, because she had no right to be unhappy. On the fourth day of the new year, Lin Yueling got up early. After buying breakfast for Jiang Xiao, she began to dress up. She was a little worried. She had already worn the jewelry worth 100 million euros. It would be a little too conspicuous if she wore it again. She had no choice but to not wear it in the end. At 9:30, the phone rang. It was Lin Zikong's wife, Wang Jieli, who called to urge them. She said that the car had already been sent to pick them up. Lin Yueling knocked on Jiang Xiao's door and took him out to visit the Lin family. When they went out, they saw a Mercedes-Benz S450 parked there. Jiang Xiao was not used to sitting in the Lin family's car. He preferred the car arranged for him by Wang Xintong. He was not used to sitting in the Lin family's car. When they passed by a courtyard, she said, "That's the Zhuo family's house. I often went there when I was young." The Lin family and the Zhuo family were old friends, but these years, they were a little estranged. It was not intentional, nor was it for any other reason. It was just that people nowadays were not as kind as they used to be in the difficult years of the past. "I don't know whether the Zhuo family has guests today," Jiang Xiao said. "Do you still want to go there?" Logically speaking, Lin Yueling had returned to the capital. It was not too much to go there to pay a New Year's visit. However, because of the matter with Zhuo Yuchen, if she went there, it would only make people think otherwise. She still shook her head. Lin Zikong and his wife personally went to the door to greet them. Many of the younger generation even went out 100 meters to wait. Among the falling leaves there was a happy shout. "It's here, the car is here." Lin Ziqing heard and came out of the house. Thinking back to a few days ago, the change was like heaven and earth. After the car stopped, Lin Xiaoke had already jumped over to open the door for Lin Yueling. She said sweetly, "Auntie, cousin, you're here." Seeing that only two people came out of the car, the Lin family did not think too much. The most important thing was that the two of them came. "Little sister." Look, the way they called her changed. "Yueling, your sister-in-law has been asking you when you came early in the morning. Come in quickly." The Lin brothers became closer to Lin Yueling, but they did not dare to be presumptuous in front of Jiang Xiao. They did not dare to provoke him. Who knew if he would be nailed? After entering the courtyard, there was a burning charcoal, so it was still relatively warm. The banquet was already set up. Old Master Lin and Old Madam Lin were sitting in the armchairs inside. Old Master Lin saw that they had come and also stood up. He squeezed out a smile for the first time. "Yueling is here." They had been urging her for the whole morning. How could she not come? "Quick, make something warm to eat. It's too cold. If we don't eat something to cushion the cold, our hands and feet will be stiff." The kitchen cooked some dumplings. It's your favorite garlic meat stuffing. Old Master Lin went to pull Old Madam Lin. Old Madam Lin came over reluctantly and said in front of Jiang Xiu, Yueling, we were wrong in the past. 20 years have passed. Please forgive us. This was considered an apology. After all, it was a private matter. They opened their mouths. However, this sentence was more like a formality. There was no sincerity in it. Dad, Mom. Lin Yueling was speechless. For his own interests, he did not even want his daughter. Today, he let his daughter return to the family for his own interests. Lin Yueling only felt endless grievances and helplessness. Okay, the rain is over and the sky is clear. The sisters-in-law were wiping their tears happily. It was as if a huge misunderstanding had been resolved, and a mirror had been broken. Set off firecrackers, set off firecrackers. The crackling of firecrackers rang out. Everyone covered their ears. The atmosphere seemed to be festive. The depression and unhappiness in their hearts seemed to have been blown away by the firecrackers. Lin Yueling said, Dad, Mom, I came over this time to discuss with you about Jiang Xiu and the Zhuo family's daughter. Old Master Lin said, We've done some research on the girl for minor repairs. She's quite beautiful, but her family background is too ordinary. She's not worthy of minor repairs at all. In my opinion, we should just divorce and let the minor repairs marry the Zhuo family's daughter. The Zhuo family can help. Jiang Xiu furrowed his brows when he heard Old Man Lin's words. How dare he dream of making decisions for himself? This expression also fell into Old Master Lin's eyes. He hurriedly added, What do you think? Lin Yueling hated relationships. She hoped that feelings were pure. Moreover, she really liked Cheng Lingsu. Divorce is impossible. We can't think of a good idea for the time being. Old Master Lin said. If you don't divorce, then you can only break off the engagement with the Zhuo family. This was something he was very unwilling to do. It would damage the Lin family's reputation. However, in front of Jiang Xiu, he had no right to bargain. That's not good either. Lin Yueling frowned. Not getting married and not breaking off the engagement? Old Master Lin said, That's difficult. Chapter 310. Of course, Grandpa Lin wanted Jiang Xiu to complete the engagement. This engagement was originally set by him and the Zhuo family. If Jiang Xiu fulfilled it, it would send a strong signal to the outside world. Lin Yueling would return to the Lin family, and Jiang Xiu would reconcile with the Lin family. Moreover, the Lin family had contributed greatly to this. How could Jiang Xiu not give the Lin family a territory? But now, the Lin family did not dare to make decisions for Jiang Xiu, nor did they have the right to make decisions for Jiang Xiu. Yueling, I remember that you are very close to the Zhuo family's daughter's parents. Lin Yueling nodded. Everyone in the family knew about this. She was much closer than her brothers. If something happened, she would not go to her brothers, but to Zhuo Chonghua and his wife. Grandpa Lin said, If the engagement is cancelled, the Lin family will break our promise, and the Zhuo family will be laughed at. This will definitely anger the Lin family. This was what Lin Yueling was worried about. The Zhuo family would hate the Lin family and Jiang Xiu. Lin Yueling did not care, and she was not afraid, but she was worried that the Zhuo family would vent their anger on Zhuo Yuchen. She could not take care of Zhuo Yuchen, and she was already ashamed to face Zhuo Chonghua and his wife. How could she be at ease if she hurt Zhuo Yuchen? Jiang Xiu sat on a chair not far away. Lin Mi made tea for him, and there were sunflower seeds and nuts on the coffee table. He had already seen through the Lin family. Since his mother still cared about it, he would let her go back. However, he would definitely trample the Lin family under his feet, and make them beg bitterly. He could not see any hope, but he would give them a little light and slowly torture them. Lin Mi asked, Jiang Xiu, have you seen Zhuo Yuchen? Jiang Xiu took a sip of tea. The tea leaves were fresh and fragrant. Yes, I have. Why, are you close to her? Lin Mi said. Not really. Seeing that Jiang Xiu was chatting with Lin Mi, Lin Xiao didn't want to fall behind. He moved a stool over, and sat on the side. He didn't interrupt, but reached out to grab some melon seeds. He peeled them and put them on the plate without eating. Lin Mi asked, What are your plans? On the second day of the Lunar New Year, they went to the Jiang family to see Lingsu. They found out that Jiang Xiu had already gotten married. The girl's looks and talents were impeccable. They believed that any man who saw her would be moved. But the problem was that Jiang Xiu and Zui Yuchen were still engaged. Jiang Xiu said, "I don't have any plans." Regarding this matter, he held an indifferent attitude and let Lin Yueling make the decision. When the time came, if he could accept it, then he would accept it. If he couldn't accept it, then he would talk about it. However, he estimated that Lin Yueling's decision would definitely be acceptable. No matter how bad the situation was, could it be worse than now? He thought that he was already at the bottom of the valley after marrying Lingsu. It couldn't be worse. Lin Xiaoka passed the plate in front of Jiang Xiu. "Cousin, eat some melon seeds. I've already peeled them for you." This girl took advantage of her young age. She seemed to be innocent with her words, but in fact, she was quite good at making connections. Jiang Xiu glanced at her. The little girl smiled sweetly. She had bright eyes and white teeth. She was also a beauty. Jiang Xiu reached out and took some. He accepted her kindness. The little girl's eyes lit up. That day when she came back from the Jiang family, the elders in the family all praised her for being obedient and sensible. Some even said that she had done a good deed. This made the little girl work even harder. In my opinion, since my cousin is so powerful, he should just marry both of them. Why go through so much trouble? Cough cough. Jiang Xiu accidentally stuck a melon seed in his throat, causing him to cough. This little girl really dared to say anything to outsiders. However, her words made Jiang Xiu's heart itch. Wasn't it every man's dream to have a wife at home and a concubine outside? In ancient times, having 3 wives and 4 concubines was a symbol of a man's ability. If you wanted to marry so many wives, first of all, you had to be able to support them. If you could support them, it meant that you were capable. Only when you went out with friends or something like that would you have face. Now, if you wanted to support several women, how much would it cost? This money wasn't something that ordinary people could afford. Even then, you had to have money and face. This principle had never changed. Those big bosses and officials, not to mention a few women, there were even people who were found to have more than 10 mistresses. Lin Mi glared at Lin Xiaoka. "Don't talk nonsense. Is your cousin that kind of person? If your cousin-in-law heard what you said, she would tear your mouth apart." Lin Xiaoka stuck out her tongue in fear. "F***ck, don't use morals to kidnap me. I'm scum, I'm a beast. Can't you let me fall? Please don't save me." "What a great idea. It would be best if my mom heard this." Jiang Xiu said. "You're called Lin Xiaoka?" Lin Xiaoka's head nodded like a chick eating rice. Little cute cool. Jiang Xiu said. "Not bad, not bad. Did you get it? Did you get my intentions?" Lin Xiaoka's heart bloomed with joy after receiving her cousin's praise. She peeled the fruit even harder. "Cousin, eat melon seeds. I'm really good at peeling melon seeds. You can't even peel them faster than me." "Little girl, is this the time to talk about eating melon seeds? What happened to the good topic just now? Why was there no then?" Jiang Xiu asked Lin Xiaoka. "What business does Zui Yuchen have now?" Lin Mi, the main character, was beautifully ignored by Jiang Xiu. Lin Xiaoka said, "Cousin, you've asked the right person. Zui Yuchen opened an entertainment company. The media even exposed her once, saying that she's prettier than the most popular actresses. Her company is developing very well. Recently, there's even news that she's going to sign the star Xiao Xuetong." Jiang Xiu said, "Xiao Xuetong? If an entertainment company could sign an A-list actress, then the company must be quite big. It seemed like they were doing well. They had a source of income and didn't have to rely on others. If Jiang Xiu had money, then he wouldn't have to go to the Jiang family and be humiliated by the Lin family." Lin Xiaoka said, "But Xiao Xuetong is so popular now. There are many companies that want to sign her. Zui Yuchen's company might not be able to sign her. Zui Yuchen's company is just a small business. How can it compare to cousin? 100 million euros to buy a piece of jewelry for her mother. In her opinion, Zui Yuchen might not be able to earn that much money in her lifetime." Jiang Xiu said, It's not easy for a girl to manage a company. Seeing that Jiang Xiu was so interested in Zui Yuchen, Lin Mi frowned. She wondered if Jiang Xiu was really interested in Zui Yuchen. She didn't know that Jiang Xiu wanted to repay her kindness. Lin Mi said, "Everyone in the capital knows that Zui Yuchen has a protector." Oh. These words reminded Jiang Xiu of what Nangong Ko had told him. A protector? Who is it? Is he very powerful? Lin Shiqian interrupted. Of course he's powerful. Lu Xuanji from the Lu family. He's even more powerful than my big brother. The big brother he was talking about was Lin Shichong, the eldest grandson of the third generation of the Lin family. He was one of the best in the third generation of the Lin family, and had a position in the third generation of the capital. After all, the Lin family was not weak in the capital, and had the ability to raise a descendant. Lin Mi also said, "The Lu family is rising rapidly. The head of the Lu family is a substitute for the central government. After the new year, he might enter the central government. Many people in his family are not weak." In the capital, the first-tier families were divided by having someone in the central government. Before Jiang Xiu, Old Master Jiang had retired from the central government. However, because the Ji family had retired to the second tier and still held real power, they could barely be considered a first-tier family. The Lin family could be considered to have fallen from the first tier, and kept on falling. The Lu family was originally a second-tier family in the capital, but they were about to rise to the first tier. There were only a few first-tier families in the whole of China. There were only so many people in the central government, and some of them even came from the same family. Therefore, the number of first-tier families could be counted with one's fingers. It could be seen that the Lu family was very powerful, and could be considered one of the most powerful families in the whole of China. Lu Xuanji is someone that the Lu family has focused on cultivating. Lin Xiaoke said, "Cousin, you don't know yet, right? You've become famous in the capital's hedonistic circle. People say that you're trying to steal a woman from Lu Xuanji. A lot of people are saying that they want to teach you a lesson, hee. There were very few people who knew that Jiang Xiu was Jiang Luoxia. Lin Xiaoke was just a bystander. She didn't mind if things got out of hand, but she was afraid that things wouldn't get out of hand. Why don't we go take a look? Jiang Xiu asked in surprise. Where are we going? Lin Shiqian said. Of course, the Imperial Court courtyard in Cat Master's signature alley. As they were talking, Lin Yueling came out from the inner room and said, Where are we going? You're not allowed to go anywhere. Stay here obediently. I'm going to the Zhou family. Jiang Xiu could tell from her tone that she had already made up her mind. Since he didn't need to care, Jiang Xiu was happy to be free. Chapter 311. Lin Yueling was going to the Zhuo's house. Of course, she wouldn't go alone. Grandpa Lin had already lowered his head. This matter was also caused by the Lins, so he was going to accompany Lin Yueling. Lin Yueling said, I'll go with Grandpa and clear things up with the Zhuos. We'll come back for lunch. Don't walk around so you won't be late. Lin Xiaoke was very gossipy. Auntie, are you going to break off the engagement? Just let my cousin marry Zhuo Yuchen. Only Lin Xiaoke dared to say such nonsense because she was young. Lin Yueling didn't want to scold her. Instead, she smiled and said, Do you think your cousin is a landlord? It's not enough to marry one wife. You want to marry another? Aren't you afraid of losing your life? Everyone laughed when they heard this. Lin Xiaoke said, What's there to be afraid of? My cousin is so powerful. Lin Yueling saw her innocent face. Her round face was so tender that it was almost dripping water. She couldn't help but reach out and pinch her face. You're so cute. Come back with me and I'll talk to you. After that, she got in the car with Grandpa Lin and drove to the Zhuo's house. Xiaoke, change a pot of tea for your cousin, and peel some sunflower seeds. Lin Yueling wasn't here, so they had to seize the opportunity to entertain Jiang Xiu. The rise and fall of the Lins was in his hands. Now it seemed that only Lin Xiaoke was young and could talk to him. The Lin brothers gathered in the woods. Lin Zikong said, Second brother, it's not worth it to break off the engagement with the Zhuos like this. It'll make the Zhuos lose face and anger them. Especially to our Lins, it'll be a loss of credibility. Lin Zedong echoed, exactly. Lin Ziqing, the second-generation head of the family, also frowned. When he came back from the Jiang family and learned that the Jiangnan frontier had fallen into the hands of the unknown Gu family, he really couldn't sleep at night. He regretted it very much. When Jiang Xiu came to the family, if his family showed enthusiasm and apologized, the Jiangnan frontier would have been his. But now his relationship with Jiang Xiu was still very stiff. Xiaoke, that little girl is right, Lin Zikong said. Even the teenage children of our Lin family understand this. She's already in her 40s and still doesn't understand it. She's been away from home for too long. Lin Ziqing shook his head helplessly. Yueling doesn't know what's good for her son at all. You can't think like a commoner. As long as the Zuas are willing, what can't they do? At this time, Lin Zikong's wife, Wang Jili, came over and said, Second brother is absolutely right. Jiang Xiu can even decide on the candidate for the Jiangnan border. With this kind of power, the Zua family has no father or mother. Why would they be unwilling? I'm afraid they can't wait. Lin Zikong said, Go, don't get involved here. Prepare a good lunch. Don't let Yueling and her son feel that we're neglecting them. Wang Jili said, It's already been prepared. Lin Ziqing said, Sister-in-law is right, but it's too late to say anything now. Doesn't the old man understand this? Of course he understands, but can he refuse Yueling's idea? Now, no matter what Jiang Xiu's family said, they had to agree. After all, they wanted to take advantage of Jiang Xiu. Jiang Xiu's phone rang. He saw that it was an unfamiliar number. He usually didn't answer unfamiliar numbers, but he really didn't have anything to say to the Lin family. He was drinking tea and eating melon seeds by himself, so he picked it up. A pleasant girl's voice came from the other end of the phone. Mr. Jiang. Jiang Xiu felt that the voice was familiar. You are, the girl said. Why can't you recognize my voice? Familiar. The girl said unhappily, Xiao Xuetong. Jiang Xiu said, No wonder it's so nice. Xiao Xuetong said, I asked Miss Wang Xintong for your phone number. It wasn't easy to find you, but it's nothing much. I just wanted to wish you a Happy New Year. Xiao Xuetong was now the spokesperson for RV in China. This endorsement made her status as a little diva a little to an international diva. She was in the limelight in the domestic entertainment industry. This was all thanks to Jiang Xiu's help. In the entertainment industry, background was very important. Of course, she wouldn't let go of such a big backer like Jiang Xiu. Xiao Xuetong couldn't take the initiative to build relationships with people, but Jiang Xiu was an exception. Jiang Xiu had saved her before, and their relationship could definitely be considered friends. She was very willing to have some contact with Jiang Xiu. This man, who she originally thought was an ordinary boy, had a lot of weight in her heart. Although she found out that he had a big background and she didn't know how to deal with it, Xiao Xuetong didn't belittle her charm. It wasn't fake that so many boys and girls liked her. Jiang Xiu said, Happy New Year. Xiao Xuetong said, Do you have time? Come out for a drink? Superstar Xiao Xuetong sent out an invitation. In her mind, she recalled the scene of Jiang Xiu auctioning off the expensive jewelry, and her heart heated up. Jiang Xiu said, Okay, where are you? Xiao Xuetong had already asked Wang Xintong. Jiang Xiu was now in the capital, and so was she. I'll send the address to your phone. Okay. Even if Xiao Xuetong didn't come to Jiang Xiu today, Jiang Xiu would still come to her. Jiang Xiu didn't know how to make it up to Zhuo Yuchen. Since Zhuo Yuchen's company wanted to sign Xiao Xuetong, then he would do her a favor and at least show some sincerity. Seeing Jiang Xiu stand up and walk out, Lin Ziqing and the others also stood up and said, You're leaving? But your mother just said. Jiang Xiu said, I have something important to do. Seeing Jiang Xiu walk away, Lin Ziqing said unwillingly, What can be more important than having a reunion dinner with the Lin family? His tone was a little sour. It could be seen that the Lin family didn't have any place in Jiang Xiu's heart. He felt that it was lucky that the Jiang family was destroyed. Otherwise, Jiang Xiu's heart would definitely be with them. Little did he know that Jiang Xiu hated the Jiang family far more than he hated the Lin family. Dad, I'm going out to play too. I'm leaving too. These juniors couldn't stay at home. Seeing that the main character of the day left, they all ran out one by one. It was too depressing to be with the elders. The place Xiaoxuetong booked was, of course, a very private clubhouse. Ordinary people couldn't enter. Otherwise, once they were discovered, they would be blocked by fans in less than 10 minutes. The place she went to was a lakeside clubhouse. It was antique. Most of the places in the capital with such characteristics were preserved from ancient times. They were relatively high-end, and ordinary people couldn't afford it. Moreover, this place was too big. Jiang Xiu didn't find the right place for a while. Just as he was about to call Xiaoxuetong, he saw an unfamiliar figure in the corridor across the water and rockery. Wasn't this a coincidence? They met yesterday and met again today. It was Zuoyuchen. Jiang Xiu hesitated whether he should go up and greet her, but it seemed that the other party didn't want to see him. At this moment, Zuoyuchen was talking to a friend with short hair. Jiang Xiu didn't have the nerve to go over, but the other party was walking towards them. According to the news, she should be here. Sister Yu was with Zuoyuchen. When they received the news that Xiaoxuetong appeared here, they rushed over without stopping. Now they were trying their best to take down this famous little diva. Zuoyuchen realized that her way forward was blocked by someone. She looked up and was stunned. Although she had only met Jiang Xiu once, she had a deep impression of him. Because this person was too special, she naturally remembered Jiang Xiu. It's you. What a coincidence. You're here too? Jiang Xiu said. Yeah. Sister Yu said in surprise. You know each other? Zuoyuchen responded and then said to Jiang Xiu. Sorry, I have something to do here. I'll leave first. If there's a chance, let's meet again. Jiang Xiu smiled. Why don't we go together? Although it was just a few words, Jiang Xiu had already guessed her purpose for coming here. She must have heard the news and knew that Xiaoxuetong was here, so she came here to do public relations. Zuoyuchen's lazy face was a bit awkward. No, we really have something important to do here. Next time, there'll be a chance. After speaking, she pulled Sister Yu and left. Hey, you're going the wrong way. If she was looking for Xiaoxuetong, she should be going in the direction in front of Jiang Xiu. He had already asked the waiter for directions, but Zuoyuchen was guarding against Jiang Xiu as if he was a thief. The more Jiang Xiu shouted, the faster she pulled Sister Yu. She was afraid that if she was late, Jiang Xiu would pester her. Who is he? Why are you avoiding him? Crazy bee butterfly? Sister Yu asked curiously. Zuoyuchen said. It's him. The one from the Lin family. Ah, it's him. Sister Yu said. Why are you avoiding him? I'll call young Master Lu and get him to deal with him. I'll let him know the difference between you and him. Chapter 312. Zuoyuchen held on to Sister Yu's phone and shook her head. I've seen his mother before. She's a very good person. Forget it. Our top priority now is to find Xiaoxuetong and get her to sign our contract. Sister Yu's business was to report Zuoyuchen's situation to Lu Xuanji, especially the man who wanted to get close to her. Didn't young Master Lu say that he would be the one to sign Xiaoxuetong? If young Master Lu doesn't fulfill his promise, you can rest assured. Just do as I say and wait for Xiaoxuetong to report. Zuoyuchen said. I don't want to rely on him for everything. Sister Yu said. Isn't it good to have a man to help you? Do you have to work so hard yourself? Yuchen, others only see the final report. Who cares if you did it yourself or copied it? Zuoyuchen said. This is different. I don't want to rely on others. Sister Yu said. Sai, you don't know how lucky you are. Xiaoxuetong is so popular. All the entertainment companies are fighting for her. The three big shots are all trying to get her. How can we sign her? Zuoyuchen said. You said it yourself. Compete for treatment, compete for sincerity, compete for resources. That's right. But which one of us can compete with the three big shots? Sister Yu felt that the girl in front of her was too naive. Without young Master Lu, our chances are close to zero. This is the last time. Next time we encounter a problem, we won't look for young Master Lu. Zuoyuchen said. I want to try it myself. Not every celebrity is only interested in resources and treatment. They also care about sincerity. Waiter, how do I get to Zhengquan Hall 23? Oh, there. Turn left and you'll see the sign. The waiter pointed in the direction that Jiang Xiu had just gone. Zui Yuchen thought. It can't be so coincidental. How did he know where I was going? Xiao Xuetong's beauty and appearance were definitely at the level that could bring disaster to a country. Especially as an artist, she knew how to dress up better than ordinary beauties. Her face was so white that it glowed. Her beauty was dazzling. Even Jiang Xiu's picky eyes thought that she was a beauty. Mr. Jiang, this way. Jiang Xiu sat down opposite her. Xiao Xuetong looked at Jiang Xiu with a smile and curiosity in her eyes. She handed the menu to Jiang Xiu and asked, "What's wrong? Is there something on my face?" Xiao Xuetong shook her head. "Why do you look so ordinary now, but when you fight, you look so handsome?" Ha! Jiang Xiu realized that this big star was not only gossipy, but also quite naive. Do you like to see the ordinary me or the handsome me? Of course I like to look at handsome guys. I'm completely obsessed with looks. Jiang Xiu smiled and said, "What a coincidence. I also like to look at beautiful women." Today, Xiao Xuetong was wearing a pink cashmere sweater. She looked pure and lovely, which outlined the curve of her chest even more attractive. Although the girl was a little less plump, she was definitely more upright and elastic. His eyes fiercely stared at Xiao Xuetong's chest. Xiao Xuetong's pretty face suddenly turned red. She subconsciously shrank back. Don't be a pervert. You haven't told me yet. Which one is the real you? Jiang Xiu said, they're both me. One is the ordinary me, and the other is the deified me. Xiao Xuetong said, why don't you change into another one for me? Jiang Xiu said, if you continue to be like this, I'm going to shout molestation. Xiao Xuetong giggled and glanced at him coquettishly. She said coquettishly, you're so stingy. Why are you still hiding our relationship? How boring. Jiang Xiu said, I'm determined not to satisfy your beast-like desires. Who knows if you'll do something even more outrageous. Xiao Xuetong couldn't stop giggling. She held her stomach and almost couldn't take it anymore. Am I a woman or are you a woman? Jiang Xiu said, of course you're a woman. However, when a woman is perverted, then there's nothing a man can do. For example, Xiaji and Yuxuanji. Xiao Xuetong said, well, you dare to say that I'm perverted. She snatched the menu from Jiang Xiu's hand and was about to hit him. Jiang Xiu saw this and hurriedly said, don't hit me, don't hit me. I'm just saying. Gentlemen use their mouths, not their fists. Xiao Xuetong hit Jiang Xiu twice. He could even cooperate and scream twice. Xiao Xuetong then returned the menu to Jiang Xiu and said generously, order whatever you want to eat. It's my treat today. Although I'm not as rich as you, I can still afford to treat you to a meal. Jiang Xiu said, if you're being polite, you must have a request. If you don't make it clear, I won't dare to eat. Xiao Xuetong said, boring, really boring. Am I such a Philistine person? Jiang Xiu looked directly at Xiao Xuetong's eyes, which were as clear as autumn water. His eyes were so calm, as if he could see directly into her heart. This was an innocent girl without any impurities. Yes. Xiao Xuetong was so angry that she almost vomited blood. So you only saw such an unreliable result after looking at it for so long. Order your dishes. Jiang Xiu shook his head. I don't dare. Xiao Xuetong tried hard to hold back her laughter. This guy was really too much. She lowered her voice and said, then what do you want? Jiang Xiu said, it's my treat. Xiao Xuetong said, if you're being polite, you must have a request. If you don't make it clear, I won't dare to eat. Well, she returned Jiang Xiu's words to him just now. Jiang Xiu reached out to push the peanuts on the table, put them in his mouth and said, I want you to sign with my cheap company. Xiao Xuetong said in surprise, ah. What? Can't I? Jiang Xiu didn't think that Xiao Xuetong would refuse. Of course, if she really refused, Jiang Xiu wouldn't force her. Everyone had their own ambitions. Although he said that he helped her a lot, she didn't want to accept it, so what could he do? Xiao Xuetong said, No, it's just that I already promised someone to sign with the company he recommended. But since Mr. Jiang asked, of course I'll give you face. Who asked you to be so handsome? Jiang Xiu said. You don't have to make things difficult for me. He didn't like to make things difficult for his enemies, but he never made things difficult for his friends. He wasn't someone who would bring trouble to his friends. Because his family was miserable when he was young, he lacked fatherly love. When he grew up, he experienced the warmth of the world. It could be said that he was lonely, so he valued his friends very much. No one would believe him if he said that. Xiao Xuetong said. It's not difficult. Anyway, we haven't signed the contract yet. Jiang Xiu said. Aren't you going to ask which company it is? Xiao Xuetong said. You helped me get the endorsement for RV. Since then my value has tripled. Many veteran heavenly kings aren't as valuable as me now. As long as I can keep my identity as RV's spokesperson, I'll be in an invincible position. Jiang Xiu said. Qingyu Entertainment. Xiao Xuetong rolled her eyes at him. I was wondering why you came out to see me so readily. So you came with a purpose. Waiter. She took the menu and ordered fiercely. She was even willing to order a red wine that cost more than 100,000. Money was a worldly possession to Jiang Xiu. However, he had to act like he was distressed to make Xiao Xuetong feel better. Okay, stop pretending. Someone who spent hundreds of millions of euros on jewelry is pretending to be poor in front of me. Jiang Xiu said. I'm really poor. At this time, two women came in from outside. The waiter tried his best to stop them. Miss, this is a private space. Outsiders can't enter. Zui Yuchen had already seen Xiao Xuetong. She didn't care about the rules. This was the time to risk her life. She rushed inside. Miss Xu, can I take 5 minutes of your time? Just 5 minutes. Xiao Xuetong's smiling face turned cold. Sorry, I'm having a party with friends. If there's anything, we can meet again next time. Zui Yuchen looked at the gentleman sitting opposite her and couldn't help but be stunned. She didn't expect that the person sitting opposite Xiao Xuetong was actually Jiang Xiu. She said in surprise, It's you. Xiao Xuetong said. So you know each other. Jiang Xiu said. Let me introduce you. This is Zui Yuchen, the boss of Qingyu Entertainment. My father's generation is very good friends. It can be said that we are family friends. Sister Yuchen, sit. Zui Yuchen looked at Jiang Xiu and smiled apologetically. She misunderstood him just now. It turned out that he guessed that the purpose of her trip was to find Xiao Xuetong. Then she sat next to Jiang Xiu and said to Xiao Xuetong, Miss Xu, our company is really sincere. Although we are not as big as the big companies, we have our own advantages in the industry. This is the preliminary contract we provide to you. That you're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.